Hello.
So we just cooked some chicken. So
Can you hear me now?
not.
That's good. All right. Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, Howard. Hi, Herschel. How, is that did I pronounce that
Herschel.
right? Say it again.
Herschel.
Herschel. Herschel. Okay. Great. Well, I'm Diana, so there we go. Also, not one of those automatic.
Diana once. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Nice to meet you guys.
How are you?
So glad to see you. I'm glad to see you because lately I've been having lots of people who I already know in my classes, and I don't know either one of you guys, and that's wonderful to
New
have new
faces.
students. So really excited by that. Now I'm actually at school. This class is on Zoom, but I just finished teaching a class that's in person. For the next 3 meetings, I'll be meeting from here, and then after that, I'll be teaching from my own studio. So still trying to get the microphone and stuff working that they use here. So here's the thing with this system. In order for you to hear me, I have a microphone, which is what I use for the class. Every now and then, about 2 to 5 times, depending on how it feels like, you'll stop hearing me. And I'll be talking away. And what you need to say is, we can't hear you. And then I have to just turn this on again. I've got the other one recording, charging, and then I'll switch microphones. So you just guys say, we can't hear you anymore, and I'll just stop and but if you don't tell me that, I have no idea you can't hear me, and I'll keep talking happily away. So I need you guys to interrupt me and tell me that you can't hear me. And put it in my pocket for now until inevitably you tell me you can't hear me, and I'll have to restart it. It's just the way the system works here. So anyway, I have a few other people that I don't know in the roster, so hopefully they'll be showing up soon. But they might be people who have who consider themselves parts of group 2 and 3 or something like that. So I don't think you'll be going to be the only new people. But the people who do show up isn't necessarily that they know what this class teaches, but they might have been in my other classes, like my Illustrator or my Photoshop or other computer classes that I teach, and that's why some might have a bit more or less experience, but and some might have taken a version of this one before as well. So for now, first I just want to check in with you guys a bit about your experience or not, and your applications, and then how we use Zoom in class and things like that. And then when everyone's joined us, we'll start on the class itself. So the first thing I'd like to know is, do you have uh, any experience in any of this stuff, this conversation, digital design at all? Anyone can start.
A little bit. I mean, I've been doing photography for a while. I mostly
Hold
use.
on. I'm hearing you. Let me see if I can put you on loud. No, I can't put you any louder than this. I can put you a little bit louder. Can you try again? It seems like you're pretty
Can
hard
you
to
hear
hear.
me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been doing photography a while, but mostly living on the screen.
Okay.
Apple Photos.
Okay.
Using their controls to, it seemed to work pretty well.
Hmm.
And then I've been thinking about putting a book together, and so I did Photoshop last year with Bruce, which
Okay.
was great, but it was just, I don't need all of that, right?
Hmm.
So I'm doing Lightroom with him right now, and
Okay.
it seems to be kind of like the perfect speed of
Hmm.
what I need to
Hmm.
transform and do some stuff.
That's
So
wonderful.
that's been good, and I'd like to get into printing a little bit, but
It's great.
so that's my experience.
And is this book going to be mainly image based? Is it a
Yeah,
photo
but there will
book
be
or?
some text.
Okay,
There'll be some
great.
text.
That's great. And usually when people come to this class, usually it is either with no experience in anything whatsoever, they just want to learn, or they have something going on somewhere, right? And so, yeah, I teach also the Photoshop class. Bruce teaches the Photoshop in the class, the Lightroom class. I teach Illustrator. All of these programs are very related, depending on what you're trying to do, what's your interest. But for the most part, when you get to the place where you're trying to create a final piece, like a book, you kind of need to use them a bit of all of them together, right? And it's that combination. And then sometimes, like you were saying, Apple Photos, I actually teach the Apple Photos class as well. For many of your situations, that's more than enough, right?
Right.
Depending on what you need. But sometimes you need something beyond that. But to create a final piece, you need the programs that we're going to use here. Let me let someone else who just arrived in, who I also don't know, so that's great. Let me see. Hi there. Okay, you need to tell me how to pronounce your name. Taib, 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 Taib. Hello?
It's also muted.
Yeah. So whoever just joined us, and I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, can you unmute yourself so that I can hear you, please, if you can hear me? Taib, 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 Eli, Eli. Hello? Okay, so if you can't unmute yourself, which is on the bottom left of your, okay, I can kind of see your face a little bit, you're backlit, but I see the shape of your, there you go, you've unmuted yourself. Hi, can you speak to me
Alright.
now? Can you
So my
say
name
what?
is Tayyip Al-Dali, and so I am interested in joining the class.
That's wonderful. Can you remind me again? I didn't get, how do you say your name?
Tayyip.
Tayeb. Okay, so I wasn't so wrong the first time. Tayeb. Okay,
No, it's correct. Yeah.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good. So I was just checking in with Howard and Herschel. A few basics. So I'm going to check in with you too. Just trying to get an idea of what their experience is, if any, in any of this conversation, and most importantly, what it is that they're up to. If are they here because they love learning, or are they here because they have a particular project? So I'm just checking in now with Herschel, and then maybe you can tell me, you can tell where you're up to. So hi, Herschel. So what's your
So I'm in between jobs, and I thought I'm also at a space to explore what next for me, this phase of my life. So I have some experience with Microsoft Publisher, and I
Okay.
did our church magazine using Publisher. So
Okay.
I love the design part and thought, let me explore this. So that's about it.
Especially now that publisher isn't around anymore, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
maybe you have an older version of it still stuck in there, but they basically stopped it, right?
Yes, and I really loved it.
So,
But yeah, open to learn something new.
that's great. But at least you have some idea of this whole whatever it takes to assemble things together, and yeah, and nothing better than to take advantage of when we're in between jobs, right?
Absolutely.
to bring up more experience. Okay, perfect. And then Tayeb or Tayeb? I stopped hearing you. Can you unmute yourself again?
Hello. Yes, my name is Tayyip Al-Dali, and basically I teach chemistry, and I am now between two jobs. I'm looking for another post, and so I decided to learn something new. So I think I'm interested in digital art.
Wonderful.
And so I have some basics in Photoshops and Illustrator. So, but I need just to basically refresh and see new technologies. And if there's anything new that's coming up, I will be interested to learn it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. In
Mhm.
fact, it's so funny because when I'm teaching a specific class like Photoshop, there's like either you've done it or you haven't, or you do it a lot and you just need to see the new stuff, or Illustrator or any of those. But when you're in this class, digital design techniques, we're going to see that some people know one, some people know another, some people know none, some people know something related, like Herschel.
Mm.
And the idea is a bit the whole conversation to just figure out really what it takes, what applications to use. And I'm not going to teach you in depth either one, any of them. Rather, we all have in-depth classes in all of these, but it's more like, how do they combine? What does it take to start, from the beginning to the end? What knowledge is it that we need to know that covers across all these applications? And the applications that we're mainly talking about here for this class are going to be Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. That doesn't mean that that's the limit, the only thing we're going to be working with when you create a final piece, but that's the group of apps we're going to be using, and Bridge. So before we continue much further, and I want to keep having this conversation also with the people who join us, but some of the people who are joining us I know from other classes, so I have an idea of what they're up to, but that doesn't mean that you don't all want to know about each other, right? But I also want to find out first, really focus on the tool we're going to use to learn this class. And so first thing is, do you own the applications in your computer, or will you be using the school's VDI system? So now, when I ask a question like that, right now there's only 3 of us, so you might all be able to just answer and it'll be fine, but after a while it'll be a lot of us. So first, before I get the answer to this question, let me tell you how I want you guys to answer as a group when the class gets going with more people. And when you look down at all the little buttons that come with Zoom, you'll see that one that has a heart shape that says React. Once you find that one, if you find it, when you click on
Mm.
it, there's like balloons and thumbs up and hearts and all these cute little things going on. Somewhere in the middle of that, you'll see that there's a round, there you go, looks like Howard found them. There's a round green check mark or a round red X. So if you find the check mark, give me a yes to show me that you found it. Tayeb, did you find it?
I'm trying to open a Zoom on my computer.
Okay,
I
yeah,
will.
that's good.
Yeah.
Actually, just so you know, when you do open on your computer,
Mhm.
it'll ask you about sound, and you want to make sure to not have 2 sounds on in the same room. So tell it to not continue with sound on the second device, okay? And then we'll hear
Okay.
you through the phone. This is probably a phone. And then we'll see you and hear you through, not hear you through the other one, okay? Now,
Okay.
what Tayeb is doing is another things that we're going to talk about right now is if you do have a second device, not usually a phone, usually a second device that would work would be a second monitor, if you have 2 monitors connected to your computer, or if you have an iPad, or if you have a laptop that, you know, you've been sitting there gathering dust for a while but still works. All of that would work as a second device where you can connect twice. Because one time you're going to connect to just watch the demo, and on the other computer you're going to do the work. So that tends to be the best way to, the easiest way, not the best way, but the easiest way, because then you don't have to be sharing your screen with the demo and your work. Oh, here comes someone else. Oh, that must be you, right?
Me.
Tayeb?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you'll see once other people who've been in class before connect that you'll see them connecting twice. And that's so that they have one through which they view and one through which they, oh, the connection disconnected. So
Yes, trying to connect.
it's trying to connect, okay, but it's not, I'm not seeing you anymore. Okay, so once you're
Mm.
done and you're connected, then I'll have you give me a yes. But this is important because the way I teach my class, I'll be constantly asking you to give me a yes or a no. So the no is right next to it. Now there's a lot of other stuff there that is cute, like a little thumbs up or a little reactions or whatever. And when you do that, it's great, it's cute, but they disappear. They take like 3-4 seconds. Some are shorter, some are faster, some are longer, and then they disappear. So once they disappear, I don't know what your answer is, but see how the yes and has been there for quite a while, unless you turned it off. And if you turn it off by just clicking on it again, it turns itself off, or you switch it. So when I have, like, 15, 20 people, once I see that everyone says a yes, I'll move on. So whenever I say, okay, give me a yes if this worked for you, or give me a no if it didn't work for you, if you have any questions, I really need you to answer. Even though for you it might be so obvious that you know it, you still need to give me a yes, because I might not know that you know it, right? Or a no. The moment you show me a no, then I'll say, okay, so how can I help, Diana? Or how can I help, Tayeb or Herschel? And then you'll tell me what your issue is. We'll work on it, and then we'll continue. Okay, because I want to make sure, one of the things, the way I teach, I make sure that everyone got it before we move on. Okay. So now the next thing is, so I'm constantly going to be asking, I'm going to say, I'll demo something, and I say, okay, give me yes or no. So sometimes a yes or a no is going to be more like, okay, if you're a PC, give me a yes. If you're on a Mac, give me a no. So, I'll use these in different ways. And then when I'm done and I don't need your answers anymore, I'll clear all that feedback, which is what I just did. No one has an answer anymore. And then the other set of tools, there you go. I'm seeing a blurry you, but I'm seeing you kind of on your second one. Now you do seem to have sound on both. Now they're both off, Tayeb, but the sound is still connected to your computer. So when you unmute yourself, it'll probably be a very noisy. Oh, your other one disconnected. So you're only on one. Okay, so if you're on one, that's fine. But if you're on two, one has to be disconnected. Okay, can you say something? See if I can hear you now. Tayeb? Oh, someone else just is joining us. Let me first put your whole name over here again. And let me let Eric in. This might be the Eric that I do know. Let me see. Hi, Eric.
Hello.
So are you the Eric that I already know from my other class?
Yes.
Okay, great. Can you add your last name then?
Yeah, let
so-
me add that.
No, that's fine. So notice that when you first join in, if your first and last name was already there, that's good, it'll be there. But if
Mhm.
your first and last name weren't there, then I need to have your last name just for roster purposes to make sure you're there.
Okay. Mhm.
So now you've changed it. Thank you, Eric. Thanks for joining us. Now, I'm still talking to people who haven't been students with me before, so you'll be a good example of how to do things, which is like when I say yes, you say yes. When I say no, you say no. I've kind of gotten that far. Another thing is when you join, I want you to put in the chat that you're here. So it's a little like an attendance thing. So I'm going to say, good evening. Oh, I'm on a keyboard that's not mine. Good evening. And here you go. So you'll see me up there in the chat. So wherever you saw the good evening show up, maybe you can say, hi, hello, I'm here, or not good evening, whatever you want to say. It's
Mhm.
also a good place to write if you have a question that you've been working on, like some homework, something that's been happening during the week. Well, we're meeting twice a week, but usually you have Monday to Wednesday, you'll have some things to do, but more importantly, Wednesday through Monday, you'll have more things to do. And maybe some questions came up and it's the beginning of the class and you're just going to drop them in there as something to keep talking about. We'll do some review at the beginning with the tool, a Padlet that I'm going to show you now.
Okay.
So that's a good place to ask me questions that aren't directly related to what I'm talking right now. But if I'm talking about something right now, I'm saying, okay, click over here, click over there, and you just missed that, you can just speak up and say, can you repeat that? You know, it's not like you can't talk to me. I'm happy to have you talk to me. But if suddenly you have this thought of, oh, what if? So it's a good place to not forget, because otherwise, sometimes by the time you do get around to asking a question, oh, I forgot what I wanted to ask. But say that you have a question that you want to ask right now. So you might want to raise your hand. The hand that you're going to raise is also in that same reactions button. Click on that reactions button and kind of from the bottom up, the second one is raise your hands. And the moment you raise your hands, you might have noticed that you all reordered yourself. So the first person to raise their hand was Eric. So the next was Herschel, the next was Howard. So when I start answering questions, I'll start with Eric and then I'll go to Herschel because you've all kind of rearranged yourself in order of when you raised your hand. So once I'm done with Eric's question, we can lower his hand and now Herschel's next and then so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, when do you raise your hands? Anytime you feel like you need to ask a question. Most of the times, I'm not going to instantly stop talking and say, yes, Howard, but I'll finish what I'm talking about or whatever. And okay, what's the question? You know, and then we'll have like question times and stuff like that. But my most important thing here is to make sure that you all do ask questions and not let things go by and not know what the answers are and move forward. Because if you don't ask me when it's happening, and by the time you ask me, we're 10 steps ahead, then I have to touch you up for 10 minutes. Versus if you ask me in the moment, it's really quick to deal with whatever the issue might be. And I'm not talking questions about general questions about the technique of printing, but more specifically, if we're doing something on the computer and it's not working for you, then ask me right then and there so that I can help you make it work so we can move on with that. Does that make sense? And then, Tayeb, I haven't seen you yet use the tools and the reactions button. Have you found the reactions button yet? To give me a yes or a raised hand? That's pretty important for communication. If you look at all the little buttons in the bottom, one of them is a heart and it says react. And if you don't see it or whatever, just speak to me so that I can see how to help you. I'm having a very slow connection, like you might be having some lag there, so I'm not sure if you're freezing.
Yeah,
You
it
look a
seems
little
frozen for me.
Yeah, you look frozen. At first you were moving a little bit, and now you're frozen. So if something like this is happening to you on your side, and right now he's frozen, so there's nothing much to it. Before he was moving a little bit. So you can also, if you can't unmute yourself and you need to reach out, that's what the chat is also for, to say I'm frozen or I can't hear you or whatever it might be. So I'm gonna see, he might need to disconnect and reconnect. We'll see what happens there. Okay, so here's the thing. Say that I'm demoing something, so I'm going to share my screen right now as it's going to be. And right now I have nothing to share but the desktop, right? But I'm sharing my screen right now. And when I share my screen, the first thing that's going to happen is that my screen is taking over your screen, right? So most of your screen is probably filled with this picture of redwood trees right now. If so, it'll be hard for you to work on your own computer, on your own programs, right? So what I need you to do is to hit the escape key on your keyboard, which is the top left key on your screen. And once you hit that, not much might have happened, but now your applications are loose from the edges, and now you can grab this window screen that's showing you these trees, and you can just kind of move it a little bit to the side so that you can still use your own computer to open your own programs. So if that's working for you, give me a yes. If you're not very sure how to make that happen, then give me a no, or there's a few of us, you can speak up. So that you need to have me demoing whatever I'm demoing. Let's say I'm demoing the redwood trees right now, and then you need to have space to do it at the same time, because we're going to be working at the same time, right? So I'm going to do it, and you're going to do it. I'm going to show you this, you're going to show you that, and you're going to do it. Okay? And I'm going to stay in this mode of share because it's when it's very intrusive. And let me see. Okay, so yes on Herod, yes on Herschel. Tayeb, I see you joined us again, but I think this might be your phone, not your computer. So if you can unmute yourself to tell me what's happening, do so. And if not, write in the chat so that I can see, maybe I can follow up with you on the chat to see how I can help you. And that's all I can do for now until you can unfreeze. All right, so good. So you guys are good. So now I'm gonna hit, I'm gonna stop the share. All right, so then the next step is gonna be that when something isn't working for you, many times you can just say it and I'll tell you what the answer is. But sometimes the only way to see it is to have you share your screen with me, right? And that's the fastest way. And a lot of people will go, oh, well, I don't want to waste everyone's time sharing the screen. It's the other way around. Because the moment you share your screen, I see it. I go, oh, yeah, you didn't circle that. And you go, oh, thanks, you do it. You stop sharing, and we move on with the class. So sharing your screen is the fastest way to move forward. So everyone who's in class has a chance to share the screen quite a bit. So if you have shared your screen before and you know how to do it and you're all set up for doing it, give me a yes. If you don't know how to share your screen, give me a no, and we'll practice it right now. So, okay, you're good, Howard. You're good, Eric. Herschel, have you shared your screen before?
But yeah, I'm always not very comfortable in
Okay,
doing that. There's
I'll
always,
walk you through
where's
it.
the file
Yeah.
to
Well, there's
share?
no files. All we need to do is share what's on your screen right now. So let's practice that. Do you see the share button on the, are you on, first of all, are you on a Mac or on a PC?
Mac.
Okay, because on the PC, it's simple. It's funny, everything else is easier on a Mac. But sharing your screen is easier on a PC because the PC isn't very careful about your privacy, so it just lets you share. But the Mac goes, ooh, you're sharing? Are you sure? And it makes you give all kind of permissions and signatures before it allows you to share. Just the first time. After that, it's very simple. So you tell me what you are seeing as I walk you through this. So please first see the big green button with the black arrow that says share and next to the reactions button. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, click on that one time.
Yes.
Then you get another window. That
Mhm.
window, and the bottom of that window is a blue button that says share in white letters. Click on
Mhm.
that one. And, oh, Well, you must have already given yourself permissions because there you go. You are sharing your screen and you're done. Good. You can share your screen. So I'm going to stop your share. So that was easy. You had already given your permissions. And so there you go. And so that's as simple as that. It's 2 clicks. It's one share and then another share. I look at it and I go, oh, this is it. This is that. Okay, thank you. And see how in 2 seconds we moved on. So Howard, you're good with that? You know how to do that? Tayeb, I'm not sure if you're ready for that yet because I don't see you there, so I'm not sure what's happening with you. So I'm going to move on with the rest of the explanation. Okay, so last thing I need to know, Herschel, I saw already when you shared that you had the Creative Cloud application going, so that tells me that you have the applications on your computer.
So I've bought it, but it shows free trial, it shows buy, but it's there.
Okay, when did you buy it? Because no, if it says
Friday.
buy, you shared on Friday, and did you get an email with the instructions on how to download? Because
It had instructions, but I could go into it. It showed all that screen that you just saw is
if
what
it
I
says
saw.
buy, you didn't sign in the correct way. If you purchased it and you went through their system, it shouldn't be saying buy, it should be saying download. That's when if you didn't sign up to the same account that you bought it from. You want to share your screen again? Let's check this for a minute. Meanwhile, Howard, do you have the applications? I can't hear you, Howard, so you're muted. If you want to unmute
Yes,
yourself.
I have them downloaded.
You have them all downloaded. And Bridge, did everyone also download Bridge? Okay, so let's do this. Since it says buy and pre-trial, that means that you're not on the right account. Head over here. You see on the far right where I'm making a circle on your account. Yeah, click on that. And this is, first of all, it isn't even finished. It says gmail.co. Go ahead and sign out. If you bought it through the school, you need to sign in with your pipeline account. So go ahead and say sign out. And yep, we're going to sign in again, and you have to sign in with your pipeline account. Okay, so put in your email that you used to purchase it. Hopefully you purchase it with your pipeline account, right? Yeah, so go in and put your pipeline account in there at pipeline.sbcc.edu. All right, now say okay. Oh, why isn't it? Okay, go ahead and say continue with Google, and then we'll put it in there because it's pipeline is a Google account. Okay, and then use your pipeline account. There you go. And now FCCC. Oh, which one? Hold on. This one. You bought it through them. Yeah, it's this one's confusing because it is the FCCC Santa Barbara City College. Wait, before you do either one, because if you do the wrong one, this could take a while. Do you have the email they sent you? Because they will have told you which one to choose. Let's go to
It's
the email.
the
It's the
foundation.
first one.
The top one. Okay, go to the top one. It's good. Good, because if you do the wrong one, then it's a mess to fix. And I use the other one because I get it as teacher. I get it through City College, but I'm always reminding myself which one. Because before it used to just say Santa Barbara City College, but I knew it was wrong. But now that it said FCCC City College, I was like, well, which one? Anyway, so hopefully when it finishes thinking and setting you up, you should be able to see the apps ready to download with nothing to purchase. Now, I was surprised because today is Monday and you did it on Friday, and usually it takes a bit longer. And that's why I just wanted to make it, usually it takes a bit longer for them to approve you as a student and then send you the info. But if they sent you the email with the instructions, then that means that you're good. I'm gonna, sometimes when you're on sharing your screen, it goes slower. So I'm gonna stop your share. I'm gonna that way you're using all of your Zoom, all of your power for that. And then tell me when you're done, when it's up and running, and hopefully it doesn't say buy anymore, and then that means that the purchase has gone through. All right, Tayeb, are you there at all to tell me if you have the applications? Maybe you're pointing monitor in the wrong way, or maybe just let me write to you. Tayeb, can you see this question? Let me see if he answers on the chat. I don't know. Okay, so Howard, back to that. You said you have all, so everyone has InDesign, Illustrator, and Bridge and Photoshop. They are the 4 that we need.
I don't have
Oh,
InDesign. Yeah.
you had mentioned that, Eric. You
Yeah.
needed to do it through VDI then. Did you practice with VDI? Did you set yourself up yet with VDI?
I wasn't able to see where to do it. I was checking it out earlier, but I don't
Okay,
know. Yeah.
let me go, since you're the only one right now who needs it, I don't know Tayeb until he shows up. Go ahead and share your screen and I'll walk you through it while we're waiting for Herschel to get her apps up and running.
Okay.
Share your screen.
S-
So Eric has an has an account where he has Photoshop and Lightroom, but he doesn't have Illustrator and InDesign, so he's going to have to go through VDI for this. VDI is the way you go through the school's applications to do that. So for that, we're going to go ahead and first of all, I can see that you're running Lightroom over there, and if you're running Lightroom and or you're running other stuff, it's not really good for your computer to have all that running. So I would go right click and quit on Lightroom. These are all applications that use up a lot of, yeah, and then cool. And then I think you had some other stuff in here that might be running if it's just City College. Okay. All right, so that's good. All right, so now, first of all, do you have 2-factor authentication set up already?
I believe so. Yeah.
Well, if
Mm,
let's head over here and let's see. Click on that. Go ahead and use your click on registered. Hold on. Let me stop. Wait. Let me stop the recording for this portion. All this time, this whole
Shall I
time, I haven't
share?
been recording, which isn't good because I stopped for your phone number, and this whole VDI I didn't record, which is a problem for people who then need to know how to connect to VDI, but oh well, at least I'm recording again. Okay. Yes, Herschel? Did it pop in with download instead of buying? Yeah, good. So that means that now go ahead and go to view your app. Well, you don't have any apps yet. Okay, what you just did, I'm hoping to teach people not to do for a second. Because by moving this over, because you wanted to get out of the way of Zoom, now we don't have on the left side what's there. And I'm going to talk to people about this, but what I request is that you do is that you make your window just smaller. Move it again a little bit to one corner because that's where you're going to need to do right now anyway. Yeah, and then grab it and just make it a bit smaller. Like grab it from that corner up there. Here, grab it from this little corner, top left. Yeah, grab your window and just make it a little bit smaller. You need to get a,
It gives me just a left arrow.
there, now. Huh, why are you not getting the right arrow? No. Just click on that and it'll disappear. Okay, so move it out of the way a little bit, like click from where, click over here. Like when I say over here, do you see my pink circle right there? Top left, yeah. Click and drag down and out, yeah. So now maybe, now can you grab it from the corner and make it smaller? So weird. Why is it not letting you? Let's move it to the other corner then. Move this over, yeah, and let's see if you can get to the other corner. Click and drag a bit more. Okay, and now try to drag it from there. What app? This is so weird. Why is it not getting smaller? Okay, go ahead and go to your keyboard and do Command minus a couple of times. Let's see if that works. Is anything happening holding down the command and doing the minus? Why aren't you able to make this window smaller? It's just crazy. Okay. Doesn't matter for now. Let's go to see view your apps and let's see what's up because we need to download your apps. Okay, so I guess you did have InDesign, so go ahead and say continue. Okay, now you're gonna have to move the whole thing over, which is kind of crazy. Why is it not letting us? We need to see the apps. You need to go to home right now. So, in order to see home, you're gonna have, yeah. So my goal is to not have to do this a lot. Okay, go to home. Looks like you only have InDesign right now. So you're gonna need, but I don't want you to have the web version. See how it says web or Acrobat Web or anything like that? You need to be able to, so go over here. Let's see if these are all the apps that you can download. Yeah. So now you're gonna install Photoshop and Illustrator. And, oof, I should have had you do Bridge first. Scroll down until you see the word Bridge. Keep scrolling. Just yeah, keep scrolling there, and one of these is going to be Bridge. Keep going, and then do a search. Bridge, there's Bridge. Okay, install Bridge. Okay, so now you're going to have to wait until all of them get installed, which might take 20 minutes, might take an hour. I don't know, depending on all of this. Meanwhile, keep watching, and then we'll wait and see. But at this point, you can
I can stop sharing.
What's up? Yeah. So you can also minimize this and open like when InDesign is available. Once they're all the ones, once they download up here, they'll appear on that right side. Okay. And then that'll be all your applications that are installed. So for now, yeah, you can stop your share, or I can stop the share. For the most part, I usually prefer to stop. Not that you can't share, but sometimes people stop before it's time, or I'm done showing them something. So that's good. All right, Odessa, you're all set with all the applications, right?
Well, yes and no. My Mac ports died on me, so it's not charging anymore. So I'm on a Windows computer, and I am using the web application successfully, but Bridge is not a web application, and it refuses to download on this Windows machine, and I have no clue why. So I'll catch up.
You can't use this Windows computer isn't powerful enough for you to download them, or why aren't you downloading them onto the?
It fails to install.
It's probably too old or something for the.
Could be, it's a borrowed machine.
Yeah.
I'm limping along until my Mac is out of the shop.
All right, so for now but it's temporary. For now you have the stuff.
Yeah.
So okay. So then when we get to needing the files, the class files, you'll have to figure out.
Well, I have those downloaded.
Okay. All right, cool. So we're not gonna be accessing them too much right now, but we will. All right, let me look at the time, 5:47. Okay, so we still have a little bit more time. So now, and Tayeb, who was frozen this whole time, the connection just disappeared. He probably didn't even know he was still connected, and now it looks like he's not successfully connecting again. So I'm gonna move forward because I can't do much when he's not able to connect. All right. So let me clear your answers. Howard, are you back? Is everyone ready? I'm going to start showing you now how to get to the class files. So I'm going to share my screen now. I'm going to open Safari, but you can use any browser that you prefer, in the sense that the whole point is to open a browser. It doesn't need to be hold on, I don't have my share. It doesn't need to be any particular browser, but those of you who are on VDI, for example, Eric, you can do this inside or outside of VDI, it doesn't matter. But just so you know, when you're not using your applications, if you want to get to the class files, you can just do it through regular means like you always have. You only need to go into VDI when you're wanting to use the applications themselves, okay? All right. So let's head over to my.sbcc.edu. And I'm already signed in because I've been signed in all day, but you'll have to go in and sign in. So once you're signed in and you're ready, give me a yes. So I'm going to clear your answers right now, and then I want to see yeses once you're all inside of my.sbcc.edu.
Oh.
Cool. Howard and Eric are there. Eric was in there already, of course, because he just went in for VDI, but Herschel, you might, okay, I was gonna say it might take a little bit longer since you're downloading stuff already, but good, you're in there. And Odessa, you're in?
Yes.
All right. So then, depending on how big your window is, you might be seeing it like this, where no red bars on the left side, or you might be seeing it if your window has space and you make it a bit bigger, then you might be seeing the red bar on the left side. It just depends on the space that your computer has. So if you do have it so small that you don't see it, let me make it small again, because we do need that red bar. If your window is so small that we don't see that red bar, then you can pull it up with these three little lines right there. You click on that, and then this one appears or disappears. You see that? You go over here and it disappears. So we're gonna need it. So whichever way, let's pull it open. And then I'm gonna scroll down until you find the word Gmail. Here under the second section of shortcuts, click on Gmail. Once you got to Gmail, give me a yes. Once you're in Gmail, just making sure everyone found it. This is your pipeline Gmail. Some of you have already been in class and you've used these before. For some of you guys, City College is new to you. This should be saying SPCC up here. It shouldn't be a personal Gmail address. Okay, that's the important thing. And now, when you get here, you need to go to this little area where right next to where it says SPCC, it should have, it's a little, what we call a waffle icon. When you click on it, you should be seeing the drive here. Some people don't. So if you don't see what I'm saying that you should be seeing, if you don't see it, please let me know immediately. But if you are here and you click on that and you see drive, then click on drive. This is going to take us to our pipeline drive account. Once you're there, give me a yes. And if you need me to repeat the steps, or if it's not working for you for any reason, then give me a no, or just speak up. There, at this point, there's a few of us, so just speaking up is good enough. Now, one thing that you're going to notice is that when I don't see an answer from you, I'm going to assume that it's not working. Like I'm going to make the assumption, say that, Mark isn't answering. I'm not going to keep going. I'm going to stop and say, Mark, I don't see a yes or a no. I'm going to assume it's a no because I don't get an answer. And many times when people are in trouble trying to get to something, they are not able to answer no. You know what I mean? So I'm going to make the assumption. And so if people don't answer, I'm going to go ahead and call them, right? But right now, everyone said yes. So here on the left side, you're going to go to shared drives. Now make sure it's shared drives. A lot of people mistake that with shared with me, and it is not shared with me. It is shared drives that we need. Once you're in shared drives, you should be seeing the name Digital Design Techniques. Digital Design Techniques shared drive. If you see that, give it a double click. These are all different classes that I teach, of course, so that's why I have so many, but you should have only the classes that you're in with me. Double click on it, and you should be in this folder. Once you're in this folder, give me a yes. All right. Okay. All right, Howard, are you in? In your shared drive?
I'm just.
What's that?
Yeah, I'm in.
I'm sorry. I think you're saying I'm in, but I can't hear you very well again. I think you said I'm in, right?
Yeah, I'm switching Wi-Fi, so yes, I'm in.
Okay. All right. So this is a folder that has class files. We might be amending what's in here, but these are files that we're going to need at some point in class. So since we're at it, we can go ahead and download them. We can do a right click and download, and they're going to download into your downloads folder. Now, usually I have people, when the rest of the people join us after 6, they'll be downloading it again, but since you're already doing that, it'll download into your computer, going down as a zip file because there's a bunch of files in there. We'll see when we need them. We're going to catch up to them. Now, sometimes we're working on something that is ongoing for a few days? And if so, in case someone has missed a part of the class or something like that, I might be putting a file in the catch up. I believe I emptied it out right now. Yeah, there's nothing there right now. But if there's a file that's ongoing, that in order for you to, you're going to be 20 minutes late because you have to go to the dentist, then I'll put in here the file that you need so you can download so we can keep moving forward, right? But sometimes we'll use it, sometimes not, depending on what we need to catch up on. Now, this folder is a bunch of handouts, right, that we're going to be using as backups. Like you're going to be reading these to your heart's content, but it's like how to set up VDI, stuff that might not be for you. In this case, only Eric is on VDI, some guides and things like that. But some of these I'm going to ask you to read. Some of these are going to be important more than others, but the most important one right now is this top one, Zoom class recording links, digital design techniques. Now you might be seeing this a bit differently. Up here you can choose to see it as list or as previews. So if you're listening as previews, then it's kind of looking like this. If you're seeing it as a list, you're seeing the names. Either way, just you're looking at the same stuff. But this is the file, Zoom class recording links, that when you double click it, here is where I will be putting at the end of the class. I will put here a link to the class recording, and over here a link to the class artificial intelligence summary. So how that's going to work is that when the class is over, it takes many hours for it to be processed and ready to go and to have the link go. So usually it won't be until tomorrow morning, like the day after the class, that you'll have the link, sometimes a few hours into the morning. I try to put it in as soon as possible because on Mondays, if you want to review anything, you only have one day, before Wednesday again. But Wednesday, you have a lot of days until Monday. So here's the thing. Since the class recording is going to be here always, if you are at all going to miss class, if you're not going to be able to, say, show up until maybe some days you'll be an hour late, or you have to leave an hour early, or some days you have to miss the entire class, which there's not many classes, so try not to do that too much. But if you have to, maybe you're sick or you have to travel that day, then you're expected to be able to catch up by watching the class recording. Okay. Now, I know it's not the same, right? If you watch the recording, you might have questions that you didn't get a chance to ask. So definitely next time you're in class, you can ask me about that thing that we covered. What it won't work is if you're in the next class and you're having me try to explain the entire class that you missed, right? So my request is please watch the recordings. And yeah, it's kind of dry to sit there through a 3-hour recording, but you can, zoom through the welcomes and whatever and go to the meat of the situation. But you can also get an idea of what we covered by going to the summary. So what's the summary going to look like? Let me head over to a different class. Zoom does this. Here's an example of a summary for one of the Photoshop classes. Zoom does this thing where so it'll look like this when it's full, right? And so when you go to the meeting summary, it's not me writing it. So it's me in the third person, and it'll be, the class began with Deanna provided details, Deanna conducted tutorials. It kind of talks about me because Zoom creates this, right? So all students, next steps to post screenshots of this, all students to apply. So it seems a bit weird, but that's basically kind of what your catch up of what you need to do by next week. And then it gives you a little summary. So she covered this, she discussed the importance of that, she discussed but as you can see, it doesn't teach you to do it. It says, Deanna led a tutorial on using but it doesn't show you how to use the tool. So this is a summary to give you an idea of what we covered, but to really see the how-to, you still need to watch the class recording. And the class recording, when you click on it, it'll take you to YouTube. Now this is a private link, so only you or anyone in the class will see it. It's not like the world will see you. Oh, how funny. Look at that. I'm seeing myself all the way through. Anyway, so when you get to the recording, it's going to be a full 3-hour recording, right? Or however long the class is. Oh, let me stop and move. So I recommend, of course, if you missed the class. Hi, Gretchen. Thanks for joining us. So on the one hand, you would join us, you would watch the recording if you missed the class. Of course, you need to watch the whole thing. But if you want to review something, I recommend you have a notepad next to you and say that, look at the time and you go, oh, it's 6 p.m. and she said this thing that's really important and I need to review. So write down 6 p.m. Whatever tool I'm teaching you, right? And then when you look at this, okay, so the class starts at 5. If it's 6 p.m., that means that an hour in, and so you just kind of move your mouse over here to an hour in and you click in an hour, and then you start watching and you can review that portion that was an hour in. Does that make sense? Oh, here's more people joining us. All right, so that's how we're gonna use those recordings. And hi, Peggy, nice to see you. All right, so I'm pretty much caught up with everyone. The only thing now that people are beginning to join, I want to say, I haven't explained the Padlet yet, but I'm gonna wait for a few more people to join us before I show the Padlet. But I already took these people here to download the class files. So Peggy and Gretchen, have you been able to download the class files? Do you need me to remind you how to do that, Gretchen? Peggy, you got it? Gretchen? Are you there? You got them too. Okay, good. So the reason these people know is because they've taken my classes before, and this is the same process for any class, right? And so that's why I just had them come in a bit later so they didn't have to sit through all of this. All right. Now, and this is also a bit more for all the new students because the other people know it, and as people keep joining us, they will know it. There's a way we're going to turn in work. And so here's the thing, the class is graded. And I would say graded because some people are like, well, I don't care about being graded, I just want to learn. But some people do care about getting the certificate that says that you took this group of classes. So all of you are going to be either given a pass or a no pass. Now, the pass or the no pass might, as I said, might be important to you if you want the certificate, or might not be important to you. But either way, I still need to grade you. And the way to grade you is for me seeing your work. So how I'm going to see your work is by you doing screenshots of the work on your screen and posting it on a thing called Padlet. So now I'm going to show you what this Padlet is like. So I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to head over to Padlet where you're going to be posting your work. And because otherwise, you know, if this were a classroom, I would be looking behind your screens and I would see the work you're doing. But over here, there's no way for me to see your work unless I am behind you. So this is the Illustrator class that I'm teaching right now, for example. This is a Padlet, right? So the way it's working is that people, as we go, are posting screenshots of what we're doing and putting it here in this Padlet, right? And then I can see, and they have questions, they might things they need to do or something like that. So that's an example of
Your sound went off of my system, Diana.
Here we go. Can you hear me again now? Cool. Thanks. I warned everyone that every so often my sound just turns off because I'm at school. I'm at the City College right now teaching from here because I had a class here in person earlier on. So every now and then the microphone just turns itself off. It goes on strike. It says I'm done. And so you just need to tell me, as you did, that you can't hear me, and then I turn it on again and class continues just fine. But if not, I keep talking and if you don't tell me, I don't know that it's not working. So thanks for telling me. Okay. Now I'm going to have everyone go to the chat and click on the link that I just put in the chat, and that will bring you over here to the class Padlet. Now, once you got to the class Padlet, let me clear your feedback. Once you get to the class Padlet, give me a yes so that I know that you're all here and that life is good. And I'm wondering where the rest of the students, but hopefully they'll be coming. Meanwhile, If you're on a Mac or on a PC, how you make a screenshots is a bit different, but we're going to practice. And our first assignment is to post a screenshot of anything, whatever it might be. Here comes Paula. So if you're on a Mac, a screenshot is going to be, you hold down the Shift, Command, and number 4, and your mouse turns into this little icon, and then you can drag across something, and that thing that you just dragged across will become a screenshot, and that screenshot will be saved to your desktop. So what we're going to be doing is working on, say, Photoshop or Illustrator and Design. We're going to do a screenshot of the work that you've done. Hi, Paula. Nice to see you. And
Hi.
we're going to post. So let me put the Padlet link in the chat again, because when people join the Padlet, kind of for them, the chat starts when they join. So every time someone joins, I'll put the Padlet post in there again. All right, so we're going to head down to this little plus sign, and we're going to put your name first, and it's going to ask you something. The first time you ever join, it's going to ask you what your name is, and you can tell them what your name is. But then under subject, instead of saying what you're going to put your name under subject, Diana. And then here you might write, instead of something beautiful, you might write, this is the first screenshot assignment, for example. Or you're going to talk about the tools that we're using, or what you're using it for, whatever it might be. Not thesis, but this is. Okay. Let me fix that. Okay. And then, this is for Mac people, you're going to upload from the desktop that screenshot. And for PC people, it's a little bit different. So now if you're a Mac person, you're going to click on this little first icon, and you're going to go to the screenshot, and you're going to upload it. And here it is. That was my screenshot. I just did a little screenshot of this little bit. And then I'm going to hit publish. And for some reason, this is not showing up with that. There it is. So here is my first post. There's Peggy's post. Now, if you're on a Windows, instead of doing what we just did, you're going to do, you can use instead the Windows. If you look over here, Windows key. If you have a keyboard that's a Windows keyboard, you'll have a Windows key, Shift and S. And when you do that, the same kind of idea, you're going to have to select a portion of the screen. But instead of uploading it, it'll stay in your computer's clipboard. So Herschel over here, see how there's no photo in this one. After you do your screenshot, you're gonna go, you can go and click on this that says edit to add it, right? And then when you're posting it, you just need to do a Control V, like the shortcut for paste, and the image will paste in here, okay? But first you need to do the Windows key, Shift S, grab a portion of your screen, and then you paste it into your post, okay? So that's your first assignment. Everyone has to post a screenshot. All right, and that's great. Okay, here comes Moni. Nice to see everyone coming in. And here we go. Hi, Moni. Nice to see you.
Hello. Happy Halloween.
Oh, wow, that's true. It is getting near, isn't it? So what are you dressed as?
Well, my students just had their Halloween concert, and so I'm dressed up as the musical bandit. I'm nothing but trouble.
Oh, that's a good one. I like it. I have been hearing some fun ones this week. All right, so here's Howard. He's posted. That's great. Odessa. Herschel, do you need some help with posting an image? I'm going to refresh in case you already did. A screenshot. What's happening? Okay, here's Paula. So this would be a good time to let me know what's up. What's up,
Yes.
Herschel, so I can help
Good,
you.
yeah, just go through that again.
Okay,
So
I'm
I
gonna
go
copy
to
and
my
put the Padlet in there.
page.
So you have a Mac, right? Yeah,
Yes.
I remember. Okay, so hold down your Shift and your Command key. like, you should have 2 fingers down. The fact that I see your hand up, okay, Shift Command and 4. So it's like 3 different things all at once with 1 finger. When you do that, your mouse will turn into this, I never know how to say the name of this thing, crosshairs or whatever. And then you're gonna grab and drag across something, and then that'll be your screenshot. Now that turns into something that posts onto your desktop. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
did that work? Do you think you did a screenshot?
I think so.
Okay, good. So now go to your post over here, the one that says Herschel. And if you hover over it, you can see the word edit, like hover over this little area and the word edit will appear. So you can edit your post or you can create a new one, either way. Now this might be a good time, instead of me sharing, for you to be sharing yours. So Gretchen, I'm not sure if you're with us right now, but Gretchen, if you can post something. So do you want to share your screen, Herschel?
I can do that.
So those of you who are wondering why, because many of you guys are in the kind of class where you see me at home, I've been teaching at school today. And so even though this is a Zoom class, I didn't have time to make it home. All right, so go ahead and click on this. Here, click on this little guy, right? Wait, my mouse is not showing me the tools to draw. Yeah, so click on that icon. Yep. And now it's gonna, so these things, they go to your desktop. Okay, so you're gonna go to your desktop, which somehow, I see you're missing your desktop icon over here. So I'm gonna have to show you how to add your desktop icon. But right now, let me see, head over here to your Macintosh. Here on the left side. Yeah, here where it says Macint, I'm circling it, click on that. Go to users, going the long way around because I need you to have your, yeah, and then go into your name, Herschel. Okay, and here's your desktop. Before you do anything, can you drag it over here, see if it lets you? It might not let you in this mode, but try to drag it and drop it. No, here, right there. Drag it over there. And no, I guess in this mode, I'll help you do it later. Right now, just open it up then. And is that the screenshot that you took? Okay, and now say update. Okay, so that's your screenshot. But can you go for a second? I'm gonna just help you get that because you're gonna need to have your desktop on your Finder. So I'm gonna help you for a second. Go to this icon here, open a Finder window. And I need my tools. So this is outside, you got it. That one worked, you got your post. Go over here to this little half smiley face, top left of your screen. Yeah, click on your Finder. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing that I just had you do, but I wanna put your desktop link over here because it's missing. So go down a bit more so we can get to your Macintosh hard drive. By the way, one of the classes I teach is I teach people how to handle their Macs and all of their file management and stuff. So, okay, click here on Macintosh hard drive. Okay, and now scroll up a little bit. Are you yeah, over, you have to put your mouse here and scroll up. Yeah, there. Scroll a little bit up. I think this is you. Click on this one. No. Yeah. Okay, let me fix this for you because it's not gonna work. Go over here. I'm trying to fix, let me clean all my, yeah, go ahead and see this as list for a minute because as gallery, it's very hard to handle your computer. Okay, so now go back down here to Macintosh hard drive for a second. And we're gonna, yeah, click on that. Now go to users, double click. And now go to Herschel, double click. Okay, and now listen, you're gonna grab this desktop icon and hold on, you're not ready. You need to go over here and move this down a bit because you need to put it up there. Yeah, scroll down a bit. Yeah, perfect. Now you're gonna grab this stick and just gonna drop it right in between these. Up here, no, there. A little bit higher, in between, in between. Put your mouse in there, let go. Perfect. Now your desktop is there. So now it'll be much easier to always click on your desktop when you need to post something. Let me just show you, close this, and I'm gonna show you why that's easier now. So let's try it, say that you try to post something again. So go ahead and go to plus. Click on the plus sign to post something here in the Padlet. Yeah, so go to your plus sign. As if you're gonna post another thing, right there. Yeah, click on the plus sign. Great. Now, when you try to upload something, you're gonna click on that. Click on that, and then you'll be able to just go to your desktop, and right there on the desktop, like, you'll have your images. Now, again, you have, this whole thing is set up in such a way that, I don't know, I would never teach you how to do that, but there it is, there's your image. No, 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 no. Click on, yeah. You have them hiding under images. I would totally change how you have this computer set up right now. It's up to you, but you have to scroll to this images. Scroll, no, put your mouse over here and scroll down, because see how it's hiding? Yeah, there we go. And that's where all the desktop screenshots that you have are going to appear. If you have any need to, if you're comfortable with how you use your computer, that's fine. But if you want to learn more about how to use your Mac, just so you know, that's the class that I was teaching right before this one, is how to navigate all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so now whenever you come to the desktop, all you need to do is show your images. But it might be easier if you just make this window a tiny bit bigger now, so it always stays a little bit bigger, and then you'll see your images without having to scroll down to it. So go over here to the edge of this, right here, and then just, yeah, when you don't, I'm in the way, so right here on the edge of this window, yeah, click and drag and make it a little bit taller. Nope, the other way, taller. Okay, I guess you've reached the limit of it. Okay, so just say cancel, because it's already worked. That second one was just for me to show you. You're done. This was just to get you there. Say cancel. Over here, cancel. Down, down. I'm covering the word cancel so you can't read it, but there we go. So I didn't need you to post again. I was just by adding your desktop to your window, now you'll be able to find your screenshots. Okay, so you can cancel this one because you already got one, and we're ready to go. Perfect. Now, one thing I want to say, when people are new to the class, at first they're going to have to share their screen a lot more than others. And I'm just saying this because everyone else who's taken this class before has been through that, right? And they got it, but that's why they're not sharing their screen right now. But don't feel at all bad, all of you new people, if you end up having to share your screen more than others at some point, because you're learning it, okay? So no problem there. That's the way it works. And so don't feel bad if it turns out that I'm asking you to share your screen more than others. It's the way it goes. Everyone who's here has been in that situation. All right, great. You've all posted your first assignment. And now we're gonna delve into the meat of the class. And whenever we begin to have applications and shots and things that we're doing, we're gonna start posting them in here. One last thing before I am done is I'm gonna share this Padlet again, is that in here I had pinned how to make screenshots in case you forget it again. But I also have this thing that says read this article. So this is homework, okay? If you have time to read it between today and Wednesday, that's best. But if, say, you've got a busy life and it's not gonna happen, then for sure you need to read it by next Monday, all right? So how would you read it? You can click on it and it'll open up and you can read it right here. It's like 13 pages though, so if you don't like reading it on the computer, and it's got a lot of art, so it's not like it's 13 pages of tiny text, but you can also print it and have it, read it on your screen or something like that. But take your time to read it. I wanted to point you guys that if you go to the class handouts, I have this same handout was here. I just decided some people never knew where to find it, so I posted it in the Padlet. But that's the same handout that I wanted you guys to read is here. There's some other other things that are in the class handouts that I do want you to read, but right now that's the most important one. And also, oh, hold on, I'm not in the digital design techniques. Here we go. That was the Photoshop one. There's also some shortcuts that we will be using, and I have Photoshop shortcuts and Illustrator shortcuts, but they're so similar that you know, you can download one or the other, have both of them next to you, but they're pretty much all of the shortcuts for all these different programs are very similar. Download one of them and print it to have it next to you. When we're using these apps myself, I will be calling these out. But if you are using this for the first time, then you might want to have them. Sorry, I forgot to move the computer there. You might want to have them next to you. All right, so this is also another place where once I show you the class recordings and the summary, when you're doing homework and you want to post it in the Padlet, which is you have to, then over here you have the link to the class Padlet. So during the week when I'm not around, there's the link to the class Padlet, okay? When I'm not here to put it in the chat. And then the last thing is, especially for those of you who are completely new to the class, here is a survey that I don't need you to do right now, but since we're about to go on a break before we start on the actual class, if you don't need a break, then please fill the survey out. I just put it in the chat as well. But if you need to take a break, I understand, then please fill it out after class, okay? This is not just for new people, everyone. If you have a new project, something going on, please go ahead and fill it out. But in particular, people who have something going on that I don't know about, that it's gonna ask you like, what kind of things are you working on or things like that, then that would be great. Now, for those of you who started at 5, it's been quite a while. For those of you who showed up at 6, we seems to have barely started. But since I want us to all start together, and Herschel, did you get a chance to download your apps yet? Are they all up downloaded by now?
I'll check now.
Okay, so well, they might still be downloading. And Eric, while you're on break, VDI might go blank, and then you might have to sign in again, and we don't want to do that. So just right now, keep it alive, like do something, open something or close something. As long as you do something, it stays alive. It should last. We're going to make a short break. We're going to just do a 10-minute break, okay? So it should last 10 minutes. I think it breaks at 15 or something. Let's do 10-minute
Okay.
break. So it's 6:22. Let's be back at 6:32. Let's say 33, because by the time I finish talking or whatever, p.m. And we're gonna just jump into the class. So this was all the stuff it took to get us going. All right. See you guys in 10 minutes.
Diane, should I, Diana?
Yes.
Diana?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yep.
Diana? Do I just open them all?
No. As long as it says that they're downloaded, that's fine.
Yeah.
If so, most of you want to open Bridge because it might make you sign in. I don't think so because you already signed into your cloud, but click on Bridge as the first program we're going to open. And to make sure it's all running. And okay.
Okay.
All right. See you guys in 10. All right, can you guys hear me now? Okay, we're back. Okay. Hi there. Okay, so, the first app that I wanted everyone to open, oh, thank you, Moni, is Bridge. So let's open Bridge in the background as I'm talking. That way it's up and running. You don't have to have all the apps running at the same time. Sometimes we will, but for the most part, we'll try to have two running or one, but always Bridge in the bottom. Sometimes it's too much for a computer to run all of these at the same time. These are all very intensive programs for the computer. So definitely I don't want you to start with all of them open up. Should I clear your feedback? Okay. So what's the point of Bridge? So some of you guys have used it before. I believe probably Howard, you haven't used it before at all. If you've been using Lightroom and other stuff, right?
That's
Howard,
correct, yeah.
Bridge new for you? Okay. So the way Bridge is going to work is going to be based on considering it a bridge between all of the programs. It's such a well-named program that it's hard to explain it otherwise without boringly using the same word, bridge. But it's kind of the place for all our data, all our information, all the content that we're going to put into those books or brochures or posters or whatever it is that we're up to. All that content is in our computer somewhere, right? And what's happening is that if I open that content through, I didn't confirm, Howard, are you a Mac or a PC user?
I'm on a Mac.
You're on a Mac, okay. So in the case of a Mac, you'd be opening your Finder window and going here and there to find your stuff. If you're a Lightroom user, which you mentioned you are, it might be inside of the catalogs, and who knows where those photos are. People put them in different places. Bridge isn't, as opposed to Lightroom, for those of you who never use Lightroom, don't worry about that. Bridge doesn't track where your stuff is or isn't. Rather, imagine that it's a Finder on huge steroids. So it's for UPC people, it's a Windows Explorer on steroids, meaning you find your files instead of through the Finder or through Windows, you find them through Bridge. And first of all, that helps me personally in class because I have Windows and Mac users, right? So by using Bridge, we all have the same vocabulary to find stuff. But also, it's an Adobe program, so it knows what all of these files are and where they belong and how to, what program has to open them. So if I double click, so I'm going to share my screen now for a minute. If I open a Finder window, I'm on a Mac here as well, right? And I have opened a Finder window, which is on a Mac, how you would find stuff. And I go, say, to my downloads, because we just downloaded the Fall Digital Design Techniques class. If I were to double click from here on a PNG, for example, here's a PNG, which is a pixel file, a file that to be worked on, if I were to modify it, I would have to work on it in Photoshop, for example. If I double click on it, it's going to open in a program called Preview, right? If I were to open that same PNG inside of Bridge, it'll go, oh, that's a pixel-based image. I'm going to open it in Photoshop. Like it knows where to open the files and where they're created. Same with the PC, it uses some kind of Windows weird gallery viewer to see these kind of things. So in Bridge, what we're going to do is we're going to go find our downloads first, right? And for some of you guys who already have done this with me, you might see here on the left side the word downloads. But if you don't see the word downloads, it's because this is your first time ever opening Bridge. Then you might need to click over here on the word computer. Computer for people who are Mac users. sorry, I think it says My PC for PC users. I apologize. And for people who are Mac users, you would go to the name of your computer. So in my case, this is DE Musakio. So if you see under favorites, do you see your DE Musakio? Or if you're a PC user, you see the word My PC. And Eric, in this case, you're in Bridge, you're on a PC. So we already kind of found you your stuff on Bridge, but just so you understand how you're using it, we went to My PC and that's where we found your Google Drive. But for Mac users, we'll go to DE Musakio, or in your case, whatever your computer's name is. And over here, you'll find those main folders that are part of your computer. You're going to grab the downloads folder. You're not going to double click. You're going to grab it and you're going to just drag it over here into the favorites until you see a plus sign. And since mine is already there, I can't put it in there twice, but then you'll get the word downloads there. Okay, so once you've accomplished that, give me a yes. Some of you already have it there, so then just give me a yes because you already see your downloads there if you've done this in the past. For those of you who are new to Bridge, grab your downloads and drag it over. And if you don't see it, your window is so different to mine that you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the time to say so. Now, once you're in your downloads, you should be able to look at your downloads and hopefully find the folder that you just downloaded. But maybe you're the kind of person who has 2,000 downloads. Who knows? In which case, you might need to sort them. So you can go over here by date created, for example. And then at the very top, you might have the one that you just downloaded, or not so much created, though, because created, if you go by type, then any folder that you have will be at the top. So if you don't have too many folders, one of them will be the right folder. So this is the Fall 2021 Digital Design Techniques. If you don't see the names, let me know. Sometimes people see only the tiles and they don't see the file names. If so, let me know. If you have this thing called thumbnails only, see what I mean by not seeing them, so you need to turn this off. So you might be seeing things a bit differently, but you should find the folder at some point, one way or another, or this is called Fall 2025 Digital Design Techniques, and you can go into the Bridge search and write Fall 2025 and hit return, and then anything called 2025 will appear, and here's the folder again. So basically, we're going to drag that folder and we're going to drop it right there so that it's a shortcut, so that we don't have to search for it ever again, right? Once we found it one time, we put the little shortcut here, and now when you click, there's the class files. Okay, so from now on, when you open Bridge, all you need to do is go to your favorites, click in there, and you're there. Now, for those of you who want to know more about how to find your stuff, well, this is just the quick favorites that we put in here. You could also go to folders and then search for things, you know, like you would in a regular finder, stuff like that. So, but right now, I just want to make sure that we put this in the favorites, and that's all we need. So once you have your DigiDesign Techniques in the favorites and you can see them, give me a good old yes. Now, Eric, you already, I forgot, and when I took you, Eric, in BDI to your content, I showed you how do you get you through, head to it through Google Drive, but I forgot to tell you this last step. Might want to grab that folder and drag it to the side so that you also have that shortcut there. In your case, your folder is in your drive, my drive of your Google Drive, but you still want to be able to access it quickly by putting that there.
Okay.
Let me know if you're able to do that. Okay, I'm seeing yeses from everyone else. All right, cool. So now if you notice the class files, you might have them sorted exactly the same way I have. If so, that means that you're sorting them by file name, which is kind of the default setting, in which case numbers come first, then you have the A, then the B. So basically it's alphanumeric all the way to the W at the very bottom. If you were to see them by type, then we're seeing folders first, then we're seeing, here's an Adobe Illustrator, here's a, oh, that one shouldn't be there. That's interesting. You know what? This one shouldn't be there. That's something I uploaded by mistake. Just go ahead and right click and delete it. Can you move it? Can you move it to the trash from here? I think you can. Suddenly, I'm not sure. I know that you can tell it not to show up. I guess you can't. Can you hit your delete key? Yeah. So with this thing called Luna Display, that is definitely a mistake. I didn't mean to upload it into the class file. So select it and hit your delete key. Do you want to reject this file or delete it? And it's a bit different. Sometimes you're sorting through files. Say you have 200 photos of a photo shoot, and you don't want to get rid of the bad ones. You don't really want to put them in the trash, but you just don't want them to show because they're rejected for this project, whatever. So you can reject an image as opposed to delete it, right? But we want to delete it. So go ahead and say delete to this one. It'll move it to the bin. Are you sure you want to delete it? Yeah, it's going into the computer's trash, so delete it. There we go. So sorry about that. I was uploading things. I guess I made a mistake there. All right. So now we're seeing them by order of file types. So then you see folders, then you see here's an Adobe Illustrator, here's an INDD, which is an InDesign document. Here's a bunch of JPEGs. After a bunch of JPEGs, you're going to be seeing a PSD down here, Photoshop document, Photoshop document, Photoshop document, and then RTF, which is rich text format, or DOC, which is a Word document. Okay, so they're kind of putting themselves together in order. Now, let's leave it there. Let's leave it in by type for now. That helps for what I'm going to show you next. Let me clear your answers. So if I am on this computer, Finder window and open a JPEG, it will open in a preview. But if I go to any JPEG here on Bridge, it knows that it's a file that's a pixel-based file and it needs to be opened in Photoshop. So it'll double click it and it'll just open in Photoshop. I don't have any raw files here. I work with a lot of raw files when I'm in the Photoshop class, but right now we're not specifically going to go into that. This is more about assembling material. So I don't have any raw files. But if you click on any raw file in here, it opens straight into all of the raw, into the raw engine, Camera Raw. It opens into ACR, Adobe Camera Raw, and then you do all of the fixing of that image just that you would inside of Lightroom, and then you go into Photoshop from there. So Bridge is a great bridge, again, between Photoshop and Bridge. You open Adobe Camera Raw. So actually, maybe I have one in the file formats. Let me double click on file formats. Did I put any DMGs in here? Or NEFs? No, I didn't. Okay, I might add one next week that we can add just so you guys can see it. But in here in the folder called File Formats, I have a bunch of different file formats, including some that were not included in the other area. I have some SVGs, I have some TIFFs, some PNGs. So there's a whole variety of materials. And this is, if you want, the biggest difference between, say, for photographers who are purely photographers and nothing else, and all they do is photographs. They might like to organize these things with Lightroom because it's a program specifically set up for photographers and nothing else. But when you're trying to create whatever project you have, and I keep saying book right now because Howard mentioned book, and so it's coming to the foreground. But whenever people mention what they're doing, it always comes up like the first thing I'm thinking. But you're going to need much more than just photos. You're going to need text. You might need some logos. You might need some other imagery, illustrations. All of that is material, fonts that you're using, etc. All those are tools that you can put in your computer, and then when you see them through Bridge, you'll see them and align them by project, and we're going to create package projects and stuff like that. So all of these different images, these are not only images, they're also files that are in design or stuff like that. But if I were to double click on this one, computer just knows, okay, a TIFF that opens in Photoshop, SVG that opens in Illustrator, PNG that opens in Photoshop, etc., etc., etc. Now, you notice as I click on things that this here on the right side keeps changing. So if I click on this, I get a little preview. And then it gives me a little bit of information. It's an Adobe Illustrator. It's a 4-page, a 4 artboard Adobe Illustrator. I could flip through these and see through my 4 pages to have an idea of what's going on. It gives me a minimal amount of idea here. So all of this is metadata. There's not much more here. It tells me who created this. This is the artist who created that art. It says it's over there. Not everyone has put their information in here. Let's go over here to this AI. There's no creator for that one. There's just a little bit of information of pixels, and that's the pixels and whatever. Now let's head over to JPEG. I'm gonna click on this one. That's a JPEG. Now we get a lot more information over here. These are the pixels. Now, this is an image downloaded from a sample photo site, so it doesn't have camera information, which would appear over here, but like exposure, f-stop, all of that. But over here on the right side, it does have the information of this JPEG, which is how many pixels is it, what's its file size, what's its resolution, and in this case, we're also talking about the mode that it's in. It's in CMYK mode. It's ready to be printed and stuff like that. So this is all metadata that we're going to want to understand about our photos before we use them for a project. Like, is it ready or not? Is this an image I'm able to use or not? Let's click on this last one. That's a TIFF. And again, it's telling me pixel information, file size, PPI. We're going to talk more about what all of these individually, well, all of these things are, but this is all metadata. Let's head back. So again, how do we work inside of this bridge to backtrack into the Fall DigiSci techniques? I'm going to go over there. So when I double click, there it is. I'm moving further into that folder, and then I go back here to go to the main folder. And now let's single click on one of these guys over here. Now, one of these guys, one of these at the top. Now, these at the top have this really weird name, like a ton of numbers and then a JPEG. This is the typical name that a file gets when it's been texted to you. So these are photos that I received over text. And many times, depending on the phone that's sending it, but when something gets texted, first of all, it's been compressed, so it's a very tiny file size. It has a certain amount of pixels, but it's probably gotten a very intense JPEG compression. But it also gets stripped of a lot of its metadata, versus one of these is actually an image taken on an iPhone that wasn't texted. Okay, so when you look over here, you not only have this information we're seeing, but we also have information about the camera that took at the f-stop, the speed, the iOS, the ISO. I mean, oops, I'm trying to clean the room, and they're not expecting me to be. Hi, I'm gonna be here till 8, but if you need to do your thing, okay. All right. It's just going to be 3 nights. After that, I'll be teaching from home, but this class follows the one that I teach in person, and I don't have time to go home, so that's why I'm here. Okay. Thank you. Good night. Sorry about that. Normally, this is a Zoom class, so I shouldn't be teaching from school. But as you heard, I don't have time to make it home from the other class to this one. So I'm staying here, but just for 3 nights. Next week, I'll be teaching the afternoon class from home and the evening class from home. So then you'll see me from there. But for the next 3 days, they try to come in to clean the room. I'm like, you can't clean the room. I'm still here. Anyway, all right. So this is all the metadata information that we're gonna connect. Now you have a bunch of different things in here. Right now, I was in this IPCT whatever mode. The one that matters a lot is this file properties. So if you don't see the file properties, these are all different things that we can put in there. Here's the camera data. It's telling me what camera it shot, what chip sensor. It's an Apple iPhone 15 Pro Max. So there's just a lot of information. File properties is the one that we're more interested in. And it's so interesting to me that it don't really need to see this little preview so big. I can put my mouse here and drag up a little bit so that I can really see all the file properties. And I don't need to see the bigger preview so much. I'm going to show you why in a minute. But these are all of the Adobe programs allow you to put your mouse in between all of the different areas and make things bigger or smaller according to your needs. Waiting until it gets a double-headed arrow and then you can pull it up or down. Anyway, so this metadata here, we're going to learn to understand. It's going to really make a difference to know what's up with this photo by reading this information before I decide whether it's going to be a photo that I can use for a brochure or for a poster or for a website. Because just because it looks good doesn't mean it's going to be useful for whatever my needs are. It really depends on the metadata that's in here. Okay. There's a lot more. You can do collections. You can do a lot of organizing and stuff like that. But for now, that's all that we're going to do with Bridge. Now, say that I did want to see this one a little bit bigger. I can also just select it and hit the space bar, and it's going to fill my screen. And that's going to be like, oh yeah, this is the one I wanted. Or if it's a group of people, I can look at it up and bigger and see, oh yeah, this is where everyone is smiling, or this is where everyone's eyes are open, or whatever. So you want to check these out. I'm going to select it and I want to check the next one out. I can just go in this mode to my arrows and go to the right with my arrow on my keyboard, and I've seen the next one, and then I go to the right on the next one on my keyboard, and I go to the right to the next one, and I can keep going that way and seeing them all in big. Now, when I'm done and say this is the one I want, and then I hit the space bar again, then I'm down, and that'll be the one that I've selected. Now, this is why I said I don't really care if this preview is big enough or not, because I'd rather more read the stuff that's here on the metadata than see a bigger preview, because if I really want to see this in big, I can just hit the space bar. Does that make sense? So if all is good, a few more things about this, and then we're going to move on. I can make these thumbnails get bigger and smaller also with this little slider that's down there. And I can change the way I view all these guys in many different ways. You can play around with that. But most importantly, as we complete projects, we're going to be packaging them up, and we're going to see how, so that all of the files belonging to that project get to be together. So if I'm making a book, I'll have the layout and InDesign, I'll have all the different pages, I'll have the cover, the spine, I'll have the files where the text is being brought in from, I'll have, again, I said the logos, the font, the photos, all of that will be connected and put into one big folder with all that, where all those projects can be then handled and lodged and sent to the printer or worked with independently. All right, so that's Bridge, and that's how we're going to use it. It does a ton more, but that's the minimal amount of use that we're going to give it. Any questions there before we continue? I know quite a few of you have seen Bridge before. People for whom it's completely new, like Howard. Any questions about what it can or not do, or?
No, it seems okay.
Okay, Gretchen, I'm not sure if you've used Bridge before. Eric, I know you haven't used it before. Okay, we'll keep working on it as we go. Odessa, you've been in one
Yes,
of these
I've used
before.
Bridge.
In this one before, you've used Bridge.
Yes.
Okay. The rest of you I know have. Okay, so now I wanted to show you. Well, most of you guys know this already. Let me just spend a second showing you this little. Oh, really? PowerPoint? Oh, I don't know if it was this. This is a new computer, so I didn't know what was set up and what wasn't set up for it. I have a tiny little PowerPoint. Normally, I don't show too many PowerPoints, but I'm going to show you a couple. Oh, it's the wrong screen is being shared. That's what I didn't know. This happened before. What if I put the over here, share from here? I have like 3 windows here, and the way the school is set up, it's sharing the wrong window for a PowerPoint. Nope, it's still showing the wrong window. All right, well then it doesn't matter. It's not an important issue that it's okay. I can talk you through that one. It was a bit questionable about whether to show it anyway. And the fact that the projector is showing the wrong one means that, yay, you won't see it. Okay, so now with Bridge open, the first thing I want to do is talk about what it's going to be like. When am I going to choose which program and what part these different programs play in the creation of a final project. Just as a show of interest, let me just stop this for a second. I haven't really asked you guys. I asked a few people at the beginning what projects they're up to. Odessa, Peggy, Moni, people who didn't get to talk at the beginning, Eric, Paula, do you just want to learn these programs? I know some of you have been in them, or do you have a particular project, ongoing projects or things you're doing that you want to tell me about? Howard mentioned he's working on a book, just letting you know, because you get to hear what he's up to. So yes, Odessa?
I'm making a couple of travel books, and I'm also doing brochures for an art association.
Okay. And I believe you have the website, right? That you work with. So you're working on your images on something else, but for this, you're going a brochure. and a book.
Yes, until my Mac is out of the shop.
Yeah, that's fine. It'll get fixed at some point. All right. So again, print project. So Howard's is a print project, or this is a print project, just to see how to direct, because there's so many different kind of projects. This is how to direct the information towards you guys. Eric, yes?
I would say I just want to learn and kind of see like what the difference is between like Photoshop and Illustrator. I know I also at some point want to learn how to use like the pen tools for like logos and things like that, because I do it on my iPad, but I want to be able to learn it also in Illustrator.
Yeah, but you do it on your iPad, but not in iPad Illustrator. You use what? What do you use?
I just use like Procreate.
Procreate. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
And so
Okay.
I know I've used it a long time ago when I used to do graphic design, but like I mentioned in the last class, everything's so like brand new now. And so I
Yeah.
just want to see if
So
it,
Eric was in my Photoshop class, and he's taken this one now. And we talked before that also that where I would teach him more about how to create that stuff is in my Illustrator class, the one that's running on Friday mornings. But I believe we're changing the schedule, so Illustrator will come around some other time. But here we will learn some Illustrator. But just so you know, the pen tool exists both in Illustrator and in Photoshop. So even if I don't get around, I can show it to you in one or the other of those applications. So,
okay,
and they work the same way.
cool.
Well, Illustrator always has more options because it is for illustrating, but yeah.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I know you mentioned that you were kind of trying to get back into graphic design. Moni, Peggy, and Paula and Gretchen, if you have anything you want to share.
I would like to do a holiday card for my family.
How tiny. Gretchen and Moni's always up to these big projects. And so that's like, oh, just a holiday card? Wait a minute.
Well, I'm still doing the other stuff, but yeah.
I know. I'm laughing. So that's great. And Peggy, Paula, or Gretchen, you don't have to share. You know, if you're just here as usual to keep working on stuff. But if there's anything in particular new, I
No,
don't
it's
know
okay.
much.
I'm working on so like I helped my husband on his website. He has like a glass studio, and like we're trying just like to get him a little bit more professional. So like we want to create little cards to put like inside the packaging, and like flyers and like all kinds of materials. And I'm also volunteering with the Red Cross. So I want to like to make a brochure for them. So, you know, like I need like the tools. So
Yeah, just understand the tools to then see
okay.
what comes next. Got it. Gretchen, anything there?
Yeah, I'm kind of taking this as a refresher course. I took some time off, and all these updates. It takes a lot of time for me to kind of get my wits about where, you know, the project should be done. So I'm here to kind of catch up. And while I have you, I don't know, it looks like I downloaded the wrong folder. It doesn't look like this digital design was shared with me. I have two Illustrator and a Photoshop folder shared with me.
If you're not, Okay, are you in the class? Because if you're in the,
That's what I'm wondering. I'd like to be. I'm
yeah,
I'm on my drive right now, and I keep not seeing it. I download what I saw earlier today, and
So,
it's the wrong
let me
one.
just check for a second. Here, I stopped the share, right? Yeah, because I'm gonna get into the rosters and I don't want to be sharing the roster. Not, it's not sharing now, is it? No. Okay, so give me 1 second while I go into
Sure.
the roster to see. Because yes, it does matter to know whether you are officially in the class or not. You are not, but how did you get oh, you were, but you got dropped, or you dropped yourself, or you tried to sign up, but the class was full, so then you went into this drop mode. You're in the drop list, so that's why
Me?
you're not seeing the folder.
So what should I do? What do I need
Okay,
to do?
so the thing is that right now, you might, okay, let me just check and see if the class is full, if there is one spot. Obviously, as you can see, I never worry about signing up more people because people sign up and then they don't show up.
And I think I maybe did get something like I was put on a waiting list. I was probably supposed to do something. I didn't, obviously.
Yeah, let me check really quickly. Because if you are, hold on. If the class is full, then I need to send you a signed permission, but I think that we have there was one more open spot. Plus today I'm gonna drop, there's a couple of people who aren't gonna be in it, so they're not gonna be taking it. So, why did they change? But I need to just check, because depending on what's up, give me a second. It's not as easy as it used to be to get to the class search, so I'm searching the class search for a second. Design techniques. Yep, there's one more spot, 25 out of 24. So here's the CRN. And I'm going to go ahead and send you, here's a CRN. I just put it in there. Go ahead and sign up, because I don't need to sign up. Sign you anything, but there's one spot left. But I'm also going to be dropping some people who warn me they can't come or something like that. So there'll be more than one spot after this class is done. But also, I'm going to put your email in the class folder so you can download the class files so you can have them. So, and again, not to chastise you or anything, but when I say, does everyone have the files or something like that, that's when I do want to see yeses or nos, because it would have been easy to add you when we were
No,
doing
I
that.
understand. I'm sorry. I thought I did.
This is fine.
And then
I'm
I
not
didn't.
trying to make you feel bad. I'm saying.
No, and I just didn't want to interrupt when I realized, because you were
Yeah.
totally in the middle of something, so I was
That's
waiting for the
fine,
right
that's
time.
fine.
Sorry.
So let me, Gretchen GJ Beek, there's your username. Okay, I'm gonna go into the folder and get you onto the class file. So I'm putting you individually, which is not the right way to do it, but since you're not in the class, you wouldn't be able to see them otherwise. But just because I put you in doesn't mean that technically I shouldn't be doing this. I know you've been in my other classes, so I'll let you in. But definitely get yourself signed up, and then I can, so you should be able to see them now. I just added you to
Thank you.
the
I
shared
appreciate
files.
it.
But then don't forget to sign up, please.
Okay.
Because we definitely need signups of people who are attending.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So that was it. Let me just share my screen again now. And here we go. All right. So Bridge right now is the only thing that I've asked you to open. Actually, I need to share my entire window, not just my screen. And this is also in particular based on what Eric was saying. What does each particular program do? And that was that little slideshow that I was going to show you. But You have it, in fact, I believe in the class files, it's there as a PDF as well, so you can see it later. It's just that the PowerPoint, when it works, has some cute little animations that I wanted to show you. But the important thing is the 3 applications that we're going to use, 2 of them, one of them only works with pixel-based images, which is Photoshop. So pixel-based images means an image taken by a camera, any kind of camera, be it an iPhone to a DSLR to, yes, a scanner. A scanner is a camera. So if you have an oil painting and you've scanned it in, that's also turns it into a pixel based image. We also call a pixel-based image, call it a raster image. And yes, there's other programs like Lightroom that work with pixel-based image in the Adobe world. But especially when we're working with going to print, the other programs that I'm going to mention that are not pixel-based, they source and get their content from images that we have processed in either Photoshop or Lightroom. So when it's a photograph, when it's a pixel-based image that it's a photograph, rarely is it ready to go straight out of the camera to say, oh, this is ready to print. Usually you're going to want to do something to it to enhance it. That post-processing is what can be done in a multitude of programs that are ready for working with pixels. So Eric was mentioning that he used to use Lightroom. I think Howard mentioned the same thing. He was taking Bruce's Lightroom class. Photoshop is where you would go when Lightroom ends, so to say. You can do the same things you can do in Lightroom, you can do in Photoshop from the beginning. But on top of that, there's things that Lightroom just can't do, and then you continue in Photoshop for the stuff that Lightroom cannot do. So if all you know is Photoshop, you can do everything. But if you have been using Lightroom and there's things that you need to move forward into Photoshop, then you continue it there. And that has to do more with more specific masking, with more specific detail, and of course, anytime that you're going to be adding different material to your images than what came in the photograph, like when you're doing compositing and things like that. That's also Photoshop's preeminent thing. It can also do, Photoshop can also do animations. So if you want to do animations, movement, that kind of stuff, you can also do that in Photoshop. You can do 3D. You can do just so much more than just fixing a photo. So Photoshop is so vast, it's hard to encapsulate it. But the important thing is it's all based on images that are pixel-based. And I'm stereotyping it because you can also use vector. You can also create vector files in Photoshop. So what's a vector file? Vector files are what Illustrator is specialty. Is the specialty of Illustrator. So a vector file is a file created by a computer, meaning there is no camera, there's no reality involved in this. There's nothing that came from the world. And yes, can you bring a photo into Illustrator and turn it into illustration? You can. But basically, it's turning things into vector. Vectors are images created by a computer. They can be extremely tack sharp. They can be any size you want without having to worry about resolution, pixels, and all of that. So that's the biggest difference between pixels and vector. Let me share my screen oh yeah, I am sharing my screen. Let me share the class handouts for a second, since I was looking at you through here. I forgot I was sharing. But in the handouts, there's a couple of different ones. Here's one that's pretty cool, differences between Photoshop and Illustrator, and it just gives you, it's just 2 pages, so you might want to read that a little bit. But then I also have a lot of information here about graphic file types. We're going to talk a little bit more, but I have another one. What was the name of it that I liked? That's fonts. There was one more that I don't see right now that I like. Well, that's the main one, but there's another one that I don't see. Didn't take it out, did I? Okay, so this isn't so much the applications. The other one was the applications, what they're for, and this is what each format a file is for. Why do we use a couple of, so these are all pixel-based images, PNGs, JPEGs, PDFs, and TIFFs, and it explains a little bit more the difference between when and where you would be using different pixel-based images. So you might want to read a bit of that too. I'm going to only make you read a few, but there's a lot of good stuff in here you might want to read. So here it talks about image resolution and print quality, but you can't read this one until after you've read that first one that I gave you to read. And then here's how to resize images for emails and photos. So this gives you similar information in different point of views. And then how to resize images for print. So the big difference in everything we're going to learn is if you're going to print, there's one set of things, and if you're going to a screen for a web page, that's another kind of things. And in fact, one of the Photoshop versions I teach is Photoshop for web design, where you would work with things differently than would you work if you're going to print. So anyway, that's just showing you that there's stuff for you to read here if you want to, but for now, let's get more hands-on. Let's open up a JPEG, any JPEG, so let's go ahead and go to this one that says Autumn Fields. It's if you're looking at it as like sort by type, it's probably one of the first ones because it's got an A. Otherwise, sorry, by file name it'll be at the top. If it's by type, it's the third or fourth image. It's a JPEG, so if you double click, Photoshop will begin to open up. And there it is, Photoshop is opening up. I didn't have to tell it to open in Photoshop, it knows a JPEG goes in Photoshop. And here it comes. And one thing I want to show you guys is how I work with these programs. I'm going to put these programs one completely on top of the other. I'm making them exact same size. This is Bridge, and the other one is Photoshop. And this is for people who, especially when you have a little bit of space on your computer because you're zooming and you have me on one side, you have you on the others, make your programs as big as they can be outside of the demo area. Because the worst thing you can do in the world to waste time and to not find stuff is to have to move a program in order to use it, like move it like that, and move it like this, and move it like that, and move it like that, like that. You're going to waste not only your time, but everyone's time. And things will be hard. Look what happens when you put one on top of the other. So right now I just have two. At some point I'm going to have 3 or 4. When I want to go between Bridge and Photoshop, I just need to go to my dock here and click on Photoshop, Bridge, Photoshop, Bridge, Photoshop, Bridge. Now this doesn't work if you are on extreme, if you've fill your screen, like you fill your entire screen doing that, so it goes and fill your entire screen. Because since you're on Zoom, you're going to want to have some space empty to see me, unless you're here with 2 monitors, right? But other than that, this is the best way to go. And then when you have Illustrator and Design, you do the same. Now, if you're a PC user, then you have, and for you, Eric, who you're on VDI, even though you're a Mac person, you're on VDI, you're a PC person, then you have the taskbar here at the bottom, where the same thing, you're going to see the little icons, and you can click from one to the next and not have to be moving things around. Not such an issue with the PC, because the PC does that. It replaces programs with each other. But on the Mac, where you can move things around, nothing more frustrating than to have you tell me, well, I can't see what you're telling me to click on, and it's because you've moved it to the side, so you're not seeing your tools on the left side, or you're moving it to the bottom and you can't see your tools on the right side down there. So just learn, even if while you're in class with me and I'm forcing you to do it, to stack things on top and to switch programs by going to the dock, okay? Anyway, so that's just a little me on the soapbox and trying to get you to be efficient on the computer. So here we have Photoshop open up, and this is an image taken by a camera. If we have any idea what we can do with this image, can it be on a poster? Can it be in a website? Can it be in a brochure? Can it be in a book? Well, I have no idea at a first glance inside of Photoshop. We're going to have to dig deeper, but before we dig deeper in Photoshop, let's go back to Bridge and find out more, because Bridge is where we can find all this at a glance. So I'm going to click back on Bridge, and then by reading down here in the metadata, I can start by seeing that it is 1500 let's just say 1500 pixels by 1000 pixels, 1500 by 1000 pixels. It's a 442 kilobyte, which is a pretty small image, sRGB and RGB. So these are all different color modes, and we're going to talk about that color profile versus color mode. Right now, we're stuck with what we have, okay? So we're not changing everything. We're just looking at that. And this is like a little summary of the most important information that then we have much more detailed over here. So one thing that this isn't giving me is information about PPI that we've seen before when I've showed you some other images. This is downloaded from Getty Images from the internet, right? Just because it's a JPEG file, I know already that it's been compressed. It's been compressed. It's an image that when it came out of the camera, either the camera already compressed it to turn it into a JPEG, or the photographer who took this image compressed it when they took the camera. Now, whoever took this photo didn't really put their information in here. If you do put your information in here, I actually haven't gone all the way through. But if you put your information in there, creator, see, this is from Getty Images. It should have come down with stuff and it didn't, which is interesting. But anyway, you could be putting here copyright information, a bunch of other stuff that this one didn't bring, although I downloaded it from there. And it also didn't bring camera information. So again, stuff that is or isn't in the image. It also doesn't tell me where the photo was shot. Otherwise, I could find here on the GPS, latitude, longitude, latitude. But what I really care about is pixels. And if I now go to, let me see, this one, right under, in my case, depending on how big you made it, the image 5400. Now it has one item of information that one was missing, aside from also having a lot of camera information, but it also has the PPI. And so it says resolution 300 PPI. Now, 300 PPI is a pretty magical number for seeing whether this image can be printed and at what size. If this says 300 PPI, which this one does say, then it means that I can believe this sentence here that says dimensions in inches. It says 10 by 13. It says dimensions in inches 10.1 by 13.4. That 300 PPI, pixels per inch, is the minimum amount of pixels that we need an image to have in order for it to print correctly, for it to be a good, for example, photo to print in a brochure or in a book. Now, the relationship between this number and this number is very important, and we're going to see how that works out later. And I want you to read that article first before we get deeply into that inside of Photoshop and other places. But if it says 300 PPI and it says 10 per 13, then we're like, woohoo, this is possible to print at 10 by 13. Well, what if you wanted to make a 16 by 20 print out of this photo? Well, then you're in trouble, because this photo cannot be printed any bigger than this in the condition that it is right now. That's not to say that there's things that can't be changed, but it can't be printed any bigger than 10 by 13 if I want it to be a really good high quality image. We're going to learn all the exceptions, all the rules, how to modify that. But just at this first reading, that means that that's as big as I can go. Okay? Versus, if I click on this one's telling me that I can print it at 62 inches by 93 inches. What? Wow, that's a huge image. Then I go down to resolution and it's telling me 72. So if it says 72 or any number that's not 300 and it gives you a dimension in inches, you can't believe that dimension, because it needs to be in relationship to how many pixels I put in each one of those inches. And again, I'm going a little bit ahead of myself because I know that quite a few of you guys have talked about this. In fact, let me get a little check on you, because I know a couple of you guys have been through this conversation before. Howard, given that you're a Lightroom guy and that you're into photography, do you have some management of the resolution issue or?
Yeah, we're
not much?
starting to go through it in Bruce's class for you know, what to use to print, what to use for online.
Okay, so you guys are beginning to go through that, so you have some idea, but you're still learning about it. Okay, great. That's just what I need to know, and I think quite a few of you guys are in that position. And for others of you, you've heard this, and that's fine. All right, so read that handout, and we're going to go deeper into this next week. But I really need you to read that handout because if you've all read it by Wednesday, then we can go deeper into this by Wednesday, right? So the sooner you read it, the better, because I really want to be able to have that information behind you to make it easier to explain. But this number is something that we can change and we can modify and we can just kind of massage to our needs to find out. And if I like doing math, I can pull out the calculator and I can figure out right now how big this computer can be. And if I don't want to do math, then I can just do these numbers in Photoshop just by opening up a tool, and it'll tell me how big I can make that photo be. All right. So for now, let's just hold it at that. See, now this has many, many pixels. It's 4,400 pixels by 67 pixels, right? Which has many more pixels than this one, which was only 1,500 by 1,000 pixels. Okay, so how many pixels it has is really what matters about an image, how many pixels it comes with. So this one over here is 3,000 by 4,000. So all of these have a different amount of pixels. And what does that mean? And what we can do about it, what we can do with those pixels is what's going to matter to us. Over here, we have another one that's 4,000 by 3,000. When you have, what's going to dictate how many pixels your image has is whatever camera you're taking that photo with. So if you have a fancy, big, expensive DSLR, your image was going to come out with many, many, many more pixels than if you're shooting with a very old iPhone, for example, or Android. It'll have many less because it depends on the camera sensor, the camera type, the camera, so many things. But whatever it comes out with, you're stuck with. So if you took an amazing, incredibly good picture with a digital camera 10 years ago, well, it'll have many less pixels that that same photo taken today could have. Because the cameras 10 years ago or 20 years ago, when my kids were born, I took some amazing photos of my kids with my first digital cameras that I had at that point, my first good digital camera that I had at that point. And I love it, but it doesn't have enough pixels for me to make a really good high quality 16 by 20 print, but I get a great 8 by 10 out of it, right? So just because it's old doesn't mean it doesn't have a good quality. The lenses were great. All the information about it was great. It just didn't have enough, it wasn't able to capture enough pixels to make it any bigger. So how many pixels I have matter. When I say a high quality image, we talk about how many pixels. That said, it could be a shitty image. So it's not about whether the image is good or not, it's how much quality is, how many pixels does that image have, whether it's printable or not. Now, if I'm going to print, that's all that's important. And when I'm going to the web, to the screen, you know, to social media, to a website, to anything else, when I'm showing my pictures as a slideshow, when I'm showing them as part of a movie, when I'm sending them to a gallery because I want to be able to show my images in that gallery and they want to see it on screen, then all that matters is the resolution of how it's going to look on screen. And it's going to take many, many less pixels than it takes to look good on screen than to look good on print. So again, that's about all I'm going to say right now, but that's pixels. So now let's go into that Photoshop and see these pixels that I'm talking about in case you haven't seen them yet. Make sure that on the top left of your screen, you're in the top left icon. By the way, just to clarify, because I know that most of the rest of you have taken one of my Photoshop classes before. Howard, you said that you've taken, you do Lightroom, but you've taken Photoshop. So you know some of your tools in Photoshop?
Yeah.
You do know of it, okay.
Some.
So we're going to be in our selection tool, which is over there, and then we're going to zoom in, and the shortcut is going to be Command plus 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 or Control plus plus plus, and we're going to start zooming in to the screen until we get to the place where we're going to see these pixels, and we're going to keep zooming in, and that's as big as they can go. Each one of these pixels has only one color, even if you might think that because when they're next to each other, they're have gradating. No, this is a single pixel, that's a single pixel, is one single color per pixel. I'm going to back out a little bit. And one thing that you're going to see is that and this is a big, in response also to Eric, who wants to know more of the difference between Illustrator and Photoshop, there are never going to be straight lines in a pixel-based image. And a pixel image, even any straight line, no matter how straight it's going to be, it's going to have a gradient of pixels of one color blending into the next. That even if it's supposed to be a straight line, there will always be some kind of a transition between one color and the other. I'm going to click and drag around this image without zooming in and out, and I'm doing that by holding down the space bar. You hold down the space bar, this little hand pops in, and then you can click and drag yourself around. So I'm so zoomed in, it's hard to tell. But this line looks like a pretty straight line in this image. This is the road. If I zoomed out, Command or Control minus, 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 minus. When I kind of look at this from afar, that looks like a pretty straight line there. And some of these lines look pretty straight, but in particular the road. And sometimes you actually have a chair with a straight back, you know, with a real straight line. And no matter what you do, as soon as you zoom into those images, you'll discover that they aren't really straight lines at all. In fact, you can't make a diagonal straight line with a bunch of little squares. Forever is going to be a stepped line, right? As opposed to a vector file. Now, a vector file can be very precise and exact, and it never has to be jiggy-jaggy or any of that kind of thing. One more thing about this is that Photoshop is limiting in that, as I said before, you're stuck with the pixels that came. Now, again, that's something I've said for the last 30 years of my life. You're stuck with the pixel. Well, you see, are pixels around 30 years ago? For sure, 25 years ago since I've had a digital camera. So you're stuck with the pixels that came with the camera. You can't really invent without it looking really fake. And now we're getting into the realm of where that's not no longer true, because there are programs, including Photoshop itself, that can now recreate this image in a much larger size, and you can add more pixels, which is something we couldn't do for years and years and years, and do it looking pretty amazingly well. So you're not stuck with what you have, which we have been stuck with what we have forever and ever. If this could only be a 10 by 13, there is no way you could make it any bigger without it looking worse. Now you can, so we're going to talk about the good and the bad and ins and outs of that. But versus Illustrator, it has always been completely irrelevant. Whatever size you made it in, it can be made any other size. So let's go back to Bridge and let's open something in Illustrator. So up at the very top, if you're looking at and sorting by type, the first thing that's up there, that's called changing order.ai. That's in Adobe Illustrator. AI has been Adobe Illustrator for hundreds of years, and suddenly AI now means artificial intelligence. But in file types, AI still means Adobe Illustrator. So let's double click on this guy. And again, Bridge knows and opens Illustrator for us. And I'm gonna, again, make that image be the size of all that application. Again, this is just to show you. I make it the exact same size, and I go between Photoshop and Bridge and Illustrator. I don't need to be like moving things around and having all my tools available when I need them. All right, so here I am in Illustrator. Give me a yes when you've all managed to open this in Illustrator. Some of you guys might have had Illustrator still not open, or it's taken a little bit longer to open than others. But okay, most of you guys are saying yes.
I don't see that photo in mine.
Let me go to Bridge. If you have this sorted by file name or by type, then go to the C, changing order. Maybe you
Got changing order.
There it is.
Got it.
Order. Okay, so it just depends on how you had sorted it.
Yeah.
Size, by resolution, by label, by rating, by whatever. Or maybe you were still inside of one of the folders, but you found it now. Okay. Peggy, did you find it too? You were able to open it? Yeah. If you nodded as a yes, then that's enough. Yeah. Okay, great. I'm talking to you guys looking the other way because you guys are on the screen, but the art is on this one. Okay, let me clean your answers. By the way, oh, thank you, Moni, for reminding me. Those of you who arrived a bit later, please don't forget to write something in the chat to have a little sign in of you guys appearing in the chat. Give me a little hey ho in there. Thanks. All right, so here we are. We are now in Illustrator, and this is a place where lines are very well defined. And if I select this image, right, this little yellow thing again, I'm in my selection tools, which is my top most left selection tool, and you might have it set in different modes. We're going to talk about workspaces in a minute, but you should all have a black arrow at the very top, no matter what workspace you're in. Select this little box, and now let's start zooming in. Again, same shortcut, Command plus 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 or Control plus 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 to zoom in, and you'll notice that again, hold the space bar to click and drag and pan around an image, and keep zooming in, and clicking and dragging to go left. And no matter how big I go, see how the lines are absolutely impeccable. Okay, so this is a vector image. It's created by the computer, which figures out calculations where you just say, I want a line from here to here, and it does some kind of calculation, when numbers appear all over in the background on movies, and the computer does all that to itself, and boom, puts out a line. And that line can be made as tiny as you want and as big as you want. And you can design a logo as 1 by 1, and then you can make it bigger and plaster it on the side of a building, and it'll look just as good. It doesn't matter. It's completely irrespective of anything that has to do with the word resolution. So here we go. This, you can make this be as tiny as you want or as big as you want, and it'll always look exactly like the way you designed it. For the most part, no relationship to anything that has to do with reality. You've created it all from scratch. If it has any relation to reality, it's because it used to be an image and you have turned it into vector.
I think your audio.
We can't hear you, Diane.
Thank you. Yeah, those of you who have been in my classes that I teach from here before, I have a microphone that decides after a while that it's done working, and it just dies. So it turns itself off. So you need to tell me as you did, and then I turn it on and we continue going. But if you don't tell me, I don't know. So thanks for telling me. I don't think you missed much. I was just saying that, yeah, you can make this any size. I think you heard that part, that it doesn't matter. So now I'm going to zoom out, and that's Illustrator. So what do I use Illustrator for? To create, for example, logos or illustrations, that I would want to put in something. So for example, if you guys look at this image that Moni has behind her video of herself, if you look over here at video, I believe I don't remember it being a hedgehog, but I do know we did that assignment in class where we created, this is an Illustrator assignment, with that used to be a photo of a hedgehog, and she turned it into a vector and then made it have different colors or whatever. So that's like a probable cast file. If you head over to our Padlet, which today we just used only to begin to explore things, but did you put, no, oh, you changed it. You had something in here. No, that was in the Illustrator Padlet. Okay. Never mind about the Padlet. She didn't have anything in there yet. What I would like you guys to see then is, well, what's up with InDesign. So let me put you over here so I can talk to you while I talk to you. Okay, so if in Photoshop we fix our photos, if in InDesign, if in Illustrator we create images that we want that are going to be part of it, like logos or lines or squiggles or things that are going to decorate my book, for example. What about, where do I put it all together? Where do I lay it out? Well, the layout program par excellence is InDesign. InDesign is also a vector-based program. So it is also going to be working with, if you create anything in InDesign, it's also going to be like Illustrator. It's going to be a vector creation. Make a box to go under your title. It's going to be a vector box. It can be as big or as small as it wants. But it is not the place where we're going to sit and design anything for the most part. I mean, yes, as I said, boxes, lines, things like that. But for the most part, anything that we're going to create in Illustrator is going to stay in Illustrator. Anything created in Photoshop, Lightroom or Photoshop is going to stay in there. And what we're going to do with InDesign is create that layout that's going to hold all the content. So the layout of what? Of that brochure, of that website, of that book, of that pamphlet. Who had, Odessa, you had mentioned two different things you wanted. One was a brochure and what other? You had mentioned one more thing.
One was a brochure and the other one is some travel books. I've traveled extensively, so I'm putting some books together.
Books together. Now, Peggy, you made a bunch of books, right? Too, of your art. So, and I know that it's just straight photo books, right? That's all. You don't have any other art or things in them, right?
No, it was the same as Odessa, mostly photographs of travel.
Okay. Howard, you mentioned you want to make books. Are these also travel, not travel, but like memory books? Are they more like teaching books? Like what kind of books are you?
Collections of my photography over the years.
Collections of your photography?
But
Okay,
probably
great.
with some words and
Words.
illustrations.
Some people write poems. Some people write blurbs. Some people write nothing. Just let the photos speak for themselves, whichever way. But usually words, at the very least, in the title has something to do, or page numbers, or, so, text tends to be in there somehow or another. Now for brochures, for sure, you're going to need just to make sure that's my alarm, but that's the alarm I have for. Just to clarify, this class finishes at 7:55 too, right? No, 8:40. What time does this class finish?
8:45.
8:45. Yeah, I thought so. That was my early alarm for the class that used to finish at 7:55. I was like, well, that's too soon. I didn't set up that alarm yet. Okay.
8:55 or 7:55?
It finishes at 8:45.
8:45 is what the schedule says.
Yeah, 7:55 is the class that the Photoshop class I was teaching earlier, finished at 7:55, which is really early. It always caught me off guard by how short of a time. This one is longer for the same amount of time. I think they had made a mistake on the Photoshop class because I ran out of time on that one always. So it's 8:45, okay? But my alarm hasn't changed yet. So I'm going to have to get some reminders from you guys. I'll set it up a little bit later. Hold on,
In the email you sent, I'm sorry, it says 5 to 7.
7:55.
Yeah, that was my mistake. I'm sorry, because I picked
Oh,
up from
okay,
I
okay.
picked up from the class that I was teaching up until last Monday, Wednesday, which was the Photoshop class, which was 7:55, and I forgot to change that, so I apologize. It is 8:45. Which is a lot more, I know, I'm sorry. Hopefully, and if you look at the registration information, it would have been correct. That was my mistake. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I need to set up an alarm, so otherwise I am going to I'm not good at remembering. When I start teaching, I forget. So give me a second while I set myself in. 8:30 is the alarm that I need to remind me that I am 15 minutes away from being done. So give me a second. Okay. If I don't do that, then you guys will be just sitting there waiting for me to finish, and I'll never finish because, yeah, you guys who know me know that. Okay. So there we go. So now I've got my 2. Got it. Now I should be able to hear my phone and listen to it and pay attention, because that one that just rang was my earlier classmate. Okay, so where was I? Oh, InDesign as a layout program. So so for the brochure, you might have, maybe 1 to 10 images, depending on how you lay it out, depending on how big the brochure is and stuff like that. For a photo book, But a brochure, if it's any normal brochure, usually it's a single page thing that you fold in one way or another, but it's basically a single page printed on both sides. Does that make sense, you guys? We're going to be doing mock-ups and stuff, and I have some great stuff waiting for me at home for when I teach from home. I didn't bring it here to show you demos of things. But it's usually a single page document with two sides. So it's really a 2-page document. I'm sorry, not single page, but that's it. It's not a multiple page document. So you could lay out a brochure in Illustrator, for example, where you could have just 2 pages and then you print one on each side. And yeah, so Illustrator is a place where some people have done layouts before. And you know, if you have a wine bottle label and you have to design 10 labels, why not design them just in Illustrator? You don't need to, you can do all about the same as you can in InDesign and Illustrator for that. So again, when you say, Eric, what's the difference between one or the other? Many times there's overlap, right? And I just told you that in Photoshop you can do some vector design, and in Illustrator now I'm telling you you can do some layout. But the preeminent layout program where you would normally do layout, and for sure anything that's beyond single page layout, would be InDesign. So for the books that you're all mentioning, InDesign would be the right place to be. Now, I do need to say that, as you all know, to just print a photo book that's just for yourself and you're going to do a one-off or something like that, you could use one of those programs. Some of you guys brought up Blurb. I think Peggy, you had shown me Blurb, whatever. You just put the photos in there and off it goes, and you don't really need to design it yourself. So to say, I mean, choose where the photos go, but that's about it. But if you're gonna do, like I was a product designer and not product designer, packaging designer. I worked as a art director for many years for different companies doing anything stationery and stuff like that, but I did a lot of product design and I did a lot of art books, coffee table books, photography books. And for all of that, if you're going to create your own distinct design, not just use a template, where you're going to do that, brochures, marketing, all of that, then you would be doing that in InDesign, where you can lay out, you know, hundreds of page books or just a 7 or 8 page book. And the complexity will be a bit different because of the amount, but the tools will be the same. So that's the kind of thing that we're going to be creating here, to see how to lay it all out. And then you bring in your photos from Photoshop and you bring your illustrations that you create in Illustrator, and you choose a font that you bring from the place where you get your fonts, and you put it all together in one nice little neat package in InDesign. All right. Eric, in particular, you've asked me a lot about differences between applications, but anyone else, anything else that off the top of your head you want to know about the distinction between one or the other before we get going to using these programs? Eric? Nope. Yep. Go ahead. I see your hand is up.
Yeah, so some of the stuff that you can do in Illustrator, you can also do it in Photoshop, right? You're just limited to certain like settings, right? I think Illustrator, like for example, like the pen tool, right? I know Photoshop has it, but I think from what I've seen, Illustrator just gives you more options, right? To for the pen tool.
If
Okay.
you're going to create something with that you're creating as a design and you're doing an Illustrator, is a much better place to do it than in Photoshop, mainly because in Photoshop, it will, no matter that you're creating it with vector tools, but you're still creating a file. Basically, it's going to be a pixel-based file. Now, you could export it. You could export the portion that you did with the pen tool in Illustrator, in Photoshop, as an image that will work as a vector file that you can open like Illustrator. But for the most part, if you do use those tools in Photoshop, is because you're creating something that's going to end up being vector. So let me give you a tiny example. Share my screen.
So you can create like vectors in Photoshop still though, right?
Yeah. So say that, let me share my screen for a minute, and now I'm going to share. So this is a great kind of questions for this time where we're exploring what we're doing with each photos. But say that you're in Photoshop and you want to put in, say that this is going to be for a website, right? And it's
Mhm.
gonna have some buttons or some icons or something in here. If you were to create a line in a Photoshop-ish kind of way in here, and I'm gonna just create a new layer, and I'm gonna create a little box in here and make it be filled with the colors. So I'm gonna just fill it with black for now or something. Second, just choose one of these colors. Choose something like that. So if I'm gonna fill this image, and why is that shortcut not working? There we go. So if I'm gonna create that little box right there, right? And I created it with one of those tones in there. I know. Sorry, those are my alarms telling me the class before this one is finishing, and that's why I put new alarms on, but I didn't. So this is a little box that I've just created, right? If let me zoom into it for a second here. I created that box and it looks pretty perfect, right?
Yes.
Pretty precise. That's because I used it in a way as if this were a vector file. Now, if I were to print this file out right now and squish it, see how it looks flat in comparison to the rest of the stuff. If I were to, because it's not part of the image, something I created on top. So this is the vector portion of it. I could have actually created it over here. I could create another box over here. These are vector tools. This is the pen where I can create something with a vector pen tool. But look at the difference between what I'm creating right now. See that I just created? That one there that I just created, this box, see how perfect it is? And look at these two. These I created with vector tools. These are vector tools. And see how, when I approach them, see how this line is not a straight line, and see how even this rectangle, which you would think, come on, it's a straight line. See how it still has a bit of a weird little edge to it, even when it's created vector tools. So unless you're able to separate them, and let me just move out of it, unless you're able to create them separately, create them as a path over here, you would create something where, like, you would have to use Photoshop in a very much of a way that is not Photoshop-y to create it, which is what we do when we create buttons for a website, right? You're going to create a little button for a website, you're going to create some things, and if you create them in Photoshop, you're going to have this really nice, you want them to have a texture and a shape and a depth and whatever, you might end up making them in Photoshop and they might look really cute and pretty. But they're not going to be this sharp kind of defined line that they would if you create them as a vector file that you bring in as code. So ideally, what you would do is you would bring this in as a CSS code and make that button in CSS code, which is going to be a vector image, which is then, well, actually CSS code isn't even vector, but you could create that inside of Photoshop and have it be, hold on, I'm going to move these. Oh, I want to see you guys. Move these over to the left so that I can have you in front of me. I'm using all those programs that I had put before on the middle and on the side. In a second. I stop my share so I can do that. But I can have you guys in front of me because there's a small enough group of you guys that I can have you visibly in front of me, which works better for when I'm teaching than to have you on the side of me. So now I'm gonna share my screen again. Right? So is it possible to use those tools in one program and never another? Of course, but it has its drawbacks, right? Versus if instead you had created those same boxes in Illustrator, right? So if I go into Illustrator, see, this is something that lately Zoom is doing that. When I try to change the program, it makes me stop sharing and reshare, which drives me crazy. Why it does that, but it's doing that. Okay. So if I were to have created that same box here in Illustrator, right, which it's going to always be a perfect little square box, if I then import this into Photoshop, right, it would be like a little alien sitting inside of Photoshop, like an invited guest, and it would stay as that invited guest looking really sharp. but it really wasn't part of Photoshop. That's kind of what we're going to do with InDesign. And we're going to create all these things in their correct programs to create them and bring them into InDesign so that we don't have to be doing this like mishmash of a thing in Photoshop where you're creating something that ultimately should have been created in Illustrator. Can you? Yes. Do we use the pen tool in Illustrator in Photoshop for other stuff? We used to use it for masking all the time. Now masking has gotten so good that we need to use it less, but we can still use the pen tool in here. It's much more developed than Illustrator. Let's head over to InDesign, you guys. So let's say everyone has opened this guy. Let's actually not go into InDesign yet. Let's go to Illustrator first. See, whenever I'm trying to share it, I have to stop. I hate that. I hate that. But when I go from Photoshop to Illustrator, I have to stop my share and restart. Zoom doesn't like to switch from one to the other for one reason or another. I don't know what. Okay. Actually, I have other things open. I'm going to close the other thing that I've opened so that it doesn't have that issue so much. All right. So now is everyone in Illustrator in this file? Okay. Let's go ahead and go to the file, new file, which I'm not sharing the entire screen with you, but if you go up to the very top, especially you might quickly go to file, you would see new file right there. By the way, Command N is new across the board. Anything in Adobe and even in Word, Excel, Command N is a very, Control N for PCs, Command N for Macs is always going to be new in whatever program you're in. So if you're in a program where you have nothing selected, nothing new, the only thing with the Command N will do is give you a new file. So we're going to do Command N or File New. And here we are in Illustrator, and we're ready to create a new document from scratch. So partly the conversation that we had before of what are you creating? Are you creating something for the web or from the internet? Illustrator gives you many other choices in here. It has presets. It says, well, are you going to go mobile? Are you going to go to the web? Are you going to print? Are you doing some branding kind of stuff? Are you doing social media, art and illustration, film and video? It seems like there's a ton of choices, but ultimately it's really two choices. It's either print or screen. It's just that there's many versions of screen, and what they have here is like pre-sized templates, right? So if you're going to be going to mobile, they're showing you possible sizes for you to mock up an iPhone. Or if you're going to the web, they're showing you some basic sizes for if you're mocking up a website. But if you look over here to the right side, of when I hit web, look over to this side of the screen, it's showing me that all of, in this case, I select web, and over here the sizes will be measured in pixels. It's going to, if you go down, the color mode is going to be in RGB. The raster effect, so if you bring anything in that's got pixels, it's going to be okay to have it at 72 ppi. Again, we'll talk more about resolution later, but that's 72 pixels per inch. So these are all choices that are correct for web. Now, if I switch over to mobile, nothing has changed. The size maybe of width and height has changed, but see how all these choices are the same? Because no matter that you're looking at something on a phone or on a bigger screen, it doesn't matter. Now, if I go to film and video, same thing. It's a screen, okay? So the choices are the same. As long as they're on some kind of a screen, it just shows you now different sizes of possible screens that you're going to do. Same with social media, right? Again, what keeps changing is how big does that have to be? It's going to be a Facebook post or if it's going to be an Instagram portrait post, but nothing else is different. Now let's head over to print. And you click on print. Now when you look over here, the measurement is in points. The default sizes are 12 points by 7 to 9 points. Whoever knows what a point is? You've heard of points like Times New Roman, 12 points in Word to write a document or something like that, right? That's probably the nearest to a point that you've ever gotten. But when you look down here, the color mode has changed from RGB to CMYK. The raster effects now are 300 ppi from 72. So these are drastic changes in your document and in the kind of material that you're going to put in your document. So even in Illustrator, it matters for you to know, even though I'm telling you that if you created in Illustrator, doesn't matter if it's print, whatever size you printed in, created in, it's going to be okay. But what matters is if you're making that brochure and it later has to go straight in Illustrator from here to print, then you better start over here so that all your stuff is ready to go to print because you set it up that way, versus if you're doing, so art and illustration. Again, this one's a bit of a crazy one because it combines points for design, but then it goes into RGB mode and screen effects. So this one I never really understood, because if you're going to create a poster, you're going to need that to be also in 300 ppi. So I'm never too sure what they mean by art and illustration. You know, unless what's up is that you're just creating a logo, like it says here, you know, an apple or something, in which case, yeah, who cares what size it is? Because as long as you do it as a piece of art, later when you go print it, you're going to have to make sure that it's in a document that's set up for 300 ppi. So that's the only one that's a little bit weird. Hold on, my lights have just turned off because this place thinks I'm not here. I need to move around a bit. Hey guys, I'm here. Thank you. my room is like, you're not here anymore. You're sitting. Usually I teach standing up, and I brought the desk down to work in between classes, and I kept it down, which is surprising. But anyway, it just needed CC some sign of life. Anyway, so here we go. There's a little bit of everything. Let's all assume that we're going to be designing something that's later going to go to print. So why do I always choose print? Because if you've been in my classes before, you might have noticed that I tend to default to print. It's because, especially here in the case of InDesign, Digital Design Techniques, probably we're going to put in something together that even if we do want it to go on the web, probably going to do also remember what Paula said for marketing? She said she wanted to work on her husband's website, but then she mentioned making a little like card to put in the boxes and a little stamp or whatever. So even if it's the same thing, it might need to be presented in 2 or 3 different formats. So you always have to go to the highest possible denominator, the one that needs the most, which is print, to start with, and then you can always make it smaller, right? But print's the one that's going to be the most demanding. The biggest difference is going to be in the color mode, CMYK versus RGB. So we're going to talk about when we go to one to the other. But for now, by default, if we go to print, it's going to set it up in points, and we're going to shift that to inches. And then we're going to leave all the rest of the settings as they are. So we went with inches. And now we're going to just leave, 8.5 by 11, whatever it comes out as, and we're going to say create. So now we have our first artboard in Illustrator. And we're going to make a design here, which will be really minimal, but we're going to create something in here. And in order to create it, we're going to go over here to the left side. Now, by default, since I've been using these programs before, the first thing we need to make sure is make sure we all are working on the same workspace. And if this is the first time you've opened Illustrator, then, and if you have Illustrator 2025, there's a new workspace called Getting Started in. I need to share my entire screen for you to see that. So let me go to the entire screen. There we go. Because otherwise you don't see it. And it's called Getting Started. Many of you who have taken Illustrator with me before, Getting Started didn't exist. It used to start in Essentials, and certain tools appeared in Essentials. Even before that, it was Essentials Classic, and you have even more tools. Now they've simplified it down to a thing called Getting Started. And for now, Getting Started is more than good enough for us, so we're going to leave it at Getting Started for what we're going to do. And the good news is that in Getting Started, toolbar has some names that none of the other toolbars have, so it gives you a little bit of idea of what these tools do. Over here on the left, on the right side, you're going to have like a couple of tabs, properties, comments, layers, and libraries. We're going to look at properties over here, which is the one that we want right now. I'm not going to be working on anything more complicated, so we don't need the layers or anything else right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to head down here onto where we have a whole bunch of shapes over here. No, not a whole bunch, but a few shapes. I'm going to click on the topmost one, the shapes. That's a rectangle. And notice that the rectangle shape has a little tiny triangle underneath it. What that means is that I can find more than just a rectangle in there. I click here on this ellipse, there's no little triangle in there, so that's just an ellipse tool that'll give me an ellipse. But anything that has a triangle underneath, if I click and hold down, I have other choices underneath that. Okay, so I have a star tool or a line segment tool. Let's head over to the star tool for a second, just for the fun of it. And now, when I have the star tool in my hand, I can choose the color that I want that star to be. So I'm going to head over here to the fill in the properties panel. And I'm going to click on the fill and I'm going to make it be, I don't know, an orange star. And maybe I want my stroke, which is going to be the border to that star. I want it to be, I'm going to try for, I want anything that's not blue, and you'll see why I don't want blues, but maybe I'll give it a pink. I don't know how pink it's going to look. Maybe a little purple. A little purple stroke. And I'm going to give it a really tiny, what we call a hairline stroke. I'm going to go for a 0.25 point stroke, a barely there stroke. Guys will see later why. But let's go ahead and do something like this. You can choose different colors, but don't choose a blue. And I'm even torn about the stroke. Let's make it be a green, just because, and you'll see why. There's some tools that are going to appear blue and pink that I want you to be able to read. And orange and green are neither pink nor blue, and that might be helpful for the first time we do this. Okay, so now we have that in our hands, and now I'm going to take my mouse over here and I'm going to click and drag. And I am designing a little star that until I let go, I can still make bigger or smaller, but once I let go, boom, that's my star. Now, if I click and drag again, I'm still in my star making tool. So all I can do is make stars. And I'm like, click and drag again. And I don't want to keep making stars. I want to stop making stars. I'm just trying to move this thing. Then you have to leave the tool that makes stars and you have to go back to your selection tool. So that's the most of the time people ask me, well, how do I stop? Well, just go back to your selection tool. Selection tool is kind of like your home tool, the one that lets you stop from doing whatever all the other tools do. And also it helps you move stuff. So now I've got 4 stars that I ended up making, one on top of the other, and I can click and drag them and separate them. You guys might have made 1, might have made 3, I don't care. The whole point is I don't want all of these, I just wanted 1. So once I can select it, I can hit my delete key and get rid of the ones I didn't want, and I can stay with 1. And then I'll have 1 over here. So if everyone has a star and you were able to make a star, give me a good old yes. Cool. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to this star. Here we go, Command Z, Command plus or Control plus. And we can have some fun with this star. First thing I want us to do with this star is give it different amount of tips or different size center. So see this little like circle over here that when I put my mouse on, it only says plus minus. And otherwise it doesn't have a plus minus, but when I put my mouse around here, as I click to the right or to the left, I can make less points to the ninja star or more points to get a star with many little tips. So let's all give it as many as you want, letting you know that. Give it some more tips. Give it many are down. And for those of you who haven't done Illustrator with me for a while, this is pretty new. We used to have to do all of this in a different way. We've done stars with many tips for years and years, but this little tool here is very handy. And now, for those of you who haven't done this with me before, you'll be blown away by this one. There's a bunch of other tools that happen when I hover over this thing. And in this case, when I try to hover over this little circle that you see on one of the tips, that allows me to make the tips longer or stubbier. Longer or stubbier. I'm gonna zoom out so you can have like a nice little long kind of Christmas star or something like that, or a little first prize award or sale. You know how they are. A little sticker. So now I'm going to go for that. You can also change the size of that circle. With this little circle, I can make it really tiny or really big. So anyways, you can see you're not stuck with a star you have. For so many years, you're kind of stuck with a star that you made. You had to pre-create it as you were making it. Now you can make it and then have some fun with it. So if you've all been able to do that a little bit, the last little circles that you see in here, right under that white circle, there's a teensy circle. If you click on that, you're going to blunt the ends of the star. I'm going to blunt the end of the star, make a little flower for it, put it back and be in shape. And then that one, that teensy little one there, that was the circle that we used to make this inside bigger or smaller, but there's a little and that blends the insides. So now we have a little big old ink blot or ink blot. You can do that, and then you can do this. So anyway, you guys play around with your stars until it looks like whatever you want your star to look like. And we're going to call that your first, yay, illustration. And it doesn't need to look like mine. It just needs to be something. I'm liking this little like a ink milk splat. Kind of, I don't know why I see it like a milk splat when it's yellow, but there we go. Oh, one more thing. If you put your mouse outside here, where like about a 1/4 inch outside of the corner, then you can click and drag and twirl it, which in the case of a star doesn't make that much of a difference. But if it was a different shape, it might matter. You can twirl it one way or the other. And you can keep changing. You can go back and decide that you wanted it to be more or less something. So I'm going to go with that little shape. I don't know why. Going with that shape. So yay, we have created a shape out of a star. And we're going to save this file. Any questions? Did everyone create a shape? Let me clean this up. Did everyone create a shape out of that star that you are ready to consider your first design? That's
How do we move the actual star?
you go back, how to move it. You select the selection tool. You have to click on some place that's neutral. That's not one of these guys, and then you can drag
Got it.
it around.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, yep. You're all good with that, Gretchen, Paula, Odessa, Peggy? I only see 2 yeses. Everyone else, you good with that? I don't care if you like it or don't like it. You
We're
can come
doing-
as you saw it. You can come and keep playing with it. And
We-
in fact, what's that?
I was going to say, are we doing screenshots?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. See, someone who knows the way this goes is we need to do screenshots. I have another screenshot. Now, I don't have anything else yet going on in this image. So the only screenshot I'm going to do is of the shape itself. So yes, do a little screenshot, please. And when I do a screenshot of the shape, let's go over to the, here we go. Copy and paste. I've put the Padlet link again in case you lost it. Thank you. Odessa, Peggy, those of you who knew that, thanks for remembering that. Remind me out loud like Moni did next time. That way, so here, this is my first design in Illustrator. Let's call it a logo or something. Never mind, it's something. It's something I just made. All right, so everyone made some kind of a shape. Moni made many. The rest of us made one because Moni is an overachiever. Oh, how funny. I love it. I have so much fun with all the stuff that you come up with. All right. So here we go. Oh, there we go. How it has a really sharp little star, different shape tools. Okay, good. Let's head back, and thanks for that reminder. If anyone remembers to put stuff on Padlet and you see that I haven't said it, please comment on that, because yeah, that's what I needed to do. All right, so now let's save this file, Command or Control S, or File Save. We're gonna say always yes, save on your computer. If you save it to the cloud and then you stop paying for your account, then all the stuff you have in the cloud disappears, which as long as you keep paying for your account, it's fine. But other than that, let's just put things on our computer for now. Now for you, Eric, saving is going to be a little bit different. First of all, hold on. I'm talking to anyone except for Eric, so Eric, hang in there. If you're on a Mac and you've never opened Illustrator before and you try to save, the window it'll give for saving is really minimal. That's because you've just installed Illustrator. So if so, you want to click on this little arrow that's right here and click on that to get the good old saving window where you have all the choices. And then we want to make sure to save this in the same place that we are creating the file. So I have the folder downloads, and in the downloads is where I have my folder my digital science technique class files. So let's all create it. Let's put our work that we're creating in the same folder that we downloaded, okay? So I had it in my downloads folder, and there it is, Fall 25 Design Techniques. And now I'm going to call it first Illustrator design, whatever. It doesn't matter. What we call it? You can call it something else. Call it a star. Call it a splotch. I was going to call mine a splotch, but I thought that might not be technical enough. Okay. And then it'll ask us Illustrator options. Are you sure? Just ignore it for now. Just say okay to that. And now, Eric, in your case, when you save, you need to direct it to save back into your My Drive folder that it's inside of your Google Drive. Do you know how to do that, or do you want to share your screen so I can lead you through that?
Let's see. So I press save as, right? And then,
Just save, not save as.
oh, okay. And
I
then,
mean, it doesn't have a name, so if it already has a name, then you put it somewhere else and save as, yeah.
okay. And then I select the Google Drive, right?
Google Drive, and then My Drive, and then Fall
2025.
and then you
Okay.
can save it in there.
Okay, cool. Got it.
Okay, got it. All right, give me a yes when you all have that file saved and ready to go. Okay. Gretchen, need a hand? Is all good? Did you make yours? I didn't check to see if you were posting.
Yeah, sorry, I'm having a hard time having all these programs opened at once. So
Yeah.
they're going slow and crashing. I will get it to you in just a
No,
second.
but that's important to know. So like if we're working in Illustrator, you can close Photoshop. If you're working in Photoshop, you can close Illustrator. You know what I mean? So yeah, you don't need to have
Yep.
them all running. And especially if you open InDesign, InDesign takes up an inordinate amount of computer processing power, in fact. So InDesign, you
Right.
notice I haven't opened it all yet. We're going to open it in a little bit. But if so, I'm going to want you to, if you're having those kind of issues, you're definitely going to want to close Photoshop and Illustrator before you open InDesign, okay? Bridge
Right.
doesn't take up too much space, but if you're having a lot of issue, you might even want to close Bridge until I say open Bridge, but then you have to open it each time. Bridge doesn't usually take up much processing power, but the others do. So yeah, so anyway, I'm not trying to hurry you at all. Let me actually get rid of these things here that I made in this one. So then this is our Photoshop image that we opened up, and let's say that this is going to be something that we're gonna make in conjunction with that little splotch. It's going to be something. For now, let's go ahead and for those of you who are having issues with applications coins, you can close it. You don't have to have it open. But let's go back to Bridge. Sorry, to Illustrator. And well, now I'm torn by what you just said. First of all, if you're an illustrator, you can close the first file, the changing order that I had you open, you can close that one. Just things that we don't need, say don't save. Things that we don't need right now, you might want to save. In this
I was
class where we have
talking
so many
about it.
applications
Oh,
open,
jeez.
it's better to not keep many things open. And in fact, right now, we don't need this one anymore. So if you want to close Illustrator, because we're not going to be using it right now, you can close Illustrator. So let's do that. Let's say quit Illustrator, and let's say quit Photoshop. So that way it'll help everyone, because now we're going to go into InDesign. So say File, quit Photoshop. Save changes. We didn't make any changes in this one other than check out the pixel, so we can just say don't save to this one. Okay, so don't save. So we just have Bridge open. I'm actually gonna share my entire screen instead of just this one for a minute. Okay, so we have Bridge open. We have it's the only thing that we have open, and in fact we don't really need it open right now, but again I'm a little bit concerned, so those of you who are having issues with it, you can close Bridge as well. Let's open InDesign. So I'm going to go down here and open InDesign. And smaller. And if you've never used it, again, it'll come up with all the hello, welcome, you know, those kind of screens. Go ahead and acknowledge them or close them. And once InDesign is up and running, and it takes longer to start than the other programs, then we're going to go ahead and say new file. Once you're here in this new file, please give me a yes. Let me clean your answers, and let's give me a yes once you're in the new document for InDesign. Actually, probably better in this computer if I make things bigger. I'm just trying to figure out in this computer what's the best way to.
I was doing that because I had enough in, like I could open all the program. Now I can't. Everything's crashing and taking a really long time.
Mute you for a minute here, Gretchen, unless you're talking to me. Okay. Can I help you with anything? If the only issue is having them open or closed, then I can't help you, but if there's anything else, let me know. Okay. So I'm seeing Eric. Is that a yes? Peggy, is that a yes? Are you guys, do you have InDesign up and running? Eric, is InDesign running up in your VDI?
It's still loading up. Okay, there, I got it.
Still opening up, and Gretchen, it's opening up. Okay, good. All right. So notice that here we're in InDesign. The program that I just said is the most important program for designing, and it just says print, web, or mobile. It goes much simpler than Illustrator, right? But in the end, this is where you design a lot of those things. But anyway, you probably wouldn't come into InDesign to just create a little web banner for social media, which is why it was showing up in Illustrator, but you might really just do that just in Photoshop. I haven't shown you the Photoshop opening menu yet, because Photoshop, usually we open a photo first, but if you're gonna create something from scratch, you have a similar opening menu as all of these. So let's be in print, and what we're going to want to create over here on the right side is in a new sizing that isn't points nor pixels, it's in picas. It's like, come on guys, make a decision here already. Each program has its own measurement system that it follows and goes with, and we can always change it back to what we want, which in my case, I default to inches in honor of the fact that I'm teaching here in this country, but I'm not I'm Argentinian, I'm not American, well, I'm American too. But I'm Argentinian, and I learned everything in the logical centimeters notion and metric system, and I can't tell you how much I have had to learn as a designer. I've had to learn the whole metric system is so much better. Anyway, so we go to inches, and this time we're going to create a little postcard. Come to see my yellow fields. I believe that's a photo of something in France or whatever. So we're gonna make this be a sideways postcard. So we're gonna go landscape, and we're gonna make this be a 4x6. And go 6 up here, 6 inches by 4, and this is, we're gonna talk more about sizes and everything as we go on. But then it's a 1-page, just begin to introduce us to Illustrator, so we don't even have a second side to the postcard. So if we just go by 6x4 landscape orientation, 1 page, so I'm not having anything else other than that. If I notice down here, it's by default giving me some margins. Now I'm saying down here, I already have it open. I don't know if by default it comes open. I probably have used this here before, so I opened it. Maybe it was open. But if you click on this little arrow here, it can open or close the bleeds and the margins. And so you notice that it's already giving us a little margin of 1/2 inch. We're going to leave that as is. And down here where it says bleed and slug, if it's closed, we're going to open up bleed and slug. And for now, just trust me on this one, but we're going to add some bleed, and we're going to talk about what bleed is. I'm looking at the time. We're probably going to get much more deeply into all of this next week, but let's go ahead and add 1 click to this arrow, and notice that all 4 have changed to a 0.125 of an inch, which is 1/8 of an inch. If I go down again, it'll go down to 0. If I wanted to do this on only 1, same with the margins, you would
Doing
have.
all of it again.
What's that? Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's okay, no problem. I just made it. If I unlink this, then I would be putting different bleeds in different places, right? Which is never really what we want. For bleed, we rarely want it different, but just be careful not to unlink to get that. Same with margins, we might have different margins, so you would have to unlink that. But right now, we don't want anything. We just want a little bit of a bleed. We want the margins. We'll learn what these things are in a minute. And then we're going to just say create. And so we are, go command minus, click on this seamlessly work with copy editors online. Let's turn that on if you guys have that. And we have the beginnings of a little 4x6 postcard, which I don't even think is the right format. I think it's 4.5, 6x4.5 for a postcard. I'm not sure, but never mind. Here's the image, the basic shape that we want. We're starting a layout, and let's save this file. Let's call this one save, and let's call this one Command or Control S. Wow. Again, save on your computer. Again, since it's the first time I've opened InDesign, that same issue comes up, that it's trying to show me just a basic place to save it. I have to click on this arrow so that I can see my entire window. And now I'm going to go back again into the downloads folder and find my good old folder with the digital design techniques class files. And we're going to call this one first layout in InDesign. Okay, and then we're going to save. So if I were to go to Bridge right now, you guys don't have to, am I sharing Bridge? Did Bridge just share itself? Okay, yeah, it is. Nod or tell me yes or no. Are you seeing Bridge right now? I'm not sure if I had that window saved. You're seeing it? Okay. If I go to Bridge right now, I have now a starburst in there because I put it in the right folder, First Illustrator Design, and it's an AI.ai, Adobe Illustrator. We have the fields that I didn't change, and we have, what did I call this one? First, so it'll be under the F, first layout in InDesign. There we go. And it's in .indd, InDesign document. Okay. So that's the document that we're creating right now. Just wanted to show it to you. So back to InDesign. Well, here we go. We have a place where we're going to create, we got to put together the image from Photoshop, the image from Illustrator, and put some text, and that'll be our first layout. So we're combining all the content elements for our document, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to first start by placing our image. So we're going to go to File, Place, shortcut Command D. Yeah, that's one of the ones that you're probably going to learn a lot, or Control D. Remember, Eric, you're on a Mac, but in VDI, your shortcuts are PC. So if I say Command D for Mac, you have to do Control D, okay? Because you're in a PC and in the VDI computer. Okay, so File, Place, and it takes us to the folder that this came from, and that's where we have the other stuff. And we're going to go find the autumn what was it called? Autumn, am I in the right? Oh, 2025 digital, yeah.
Autumn Fields.
Autumn Field, ABC. Why is it not coming out? Oh, because it's date added. Let's click on the name. There it is, Autumn Fields. And I'm going to say open. And don't do anything. Just when you are here, meaning you have the image in your mouse. See, I'm moving my mouse around. Just sit there and wait for just a second. I'm going to wait till everyone finds it. Now, here's the thing. When I started this design, I didn't check my photo. Did you check the photo? I think maybe we checked it a little bit, but I didn't check it. So I have no idea if it's going to work or not. Whoops, that is the right alarm. That is my 15 minutes to the end of class alarm. Yikes. So I'm not going to spend too long in the minutia and the details of this right now. I'm going to assume I checked and I know that it's right or isn't right. And then we're going to get deeply into what should I have done before I bring an image in here. But right now, I don't even know if it's the right format, right? So watch what's going to happen if I just click my mouse right now. Whoa, it's humongous. And I click and drag and whoa, this is like what's happening to this image, right? I'm just seeing a little tiny bit of the sky. When I click, it just drops, and it drops in at whatever size it's set up to be. And it might be just right if it's 300 ppi, it might be wrong if it's 72 ppi. I don't know because I didn't check First and Bridge. I'll show you how to do that next week or next Wednesday. For now, stop. My phone is reminding me of stuff that it shouldn't be because it doesn't know I'm still in class. Okay, so Command or Control Z, and it comes back to my hands. Okay, so everyone click one time to drop it. See that it's pretty much out of control, and Control or Command Z to bring it back to your fingers. And now, later we're going to get deeply into what's the bleed and how come or not we use the bleed, but just follow my instructions. Put your mouse so that the tip of it goes to that outside blue, red line, okay? And this time, instead of just clicking, you're going to click and drag your image. So let me undo that again. Instead of just simply clicking, where the whole thing is going to drop again, we're going to Command Z. If you do that, you're going to put it as much as you can in that corner. And you're going to click and drag your mouse out so that hopefully it's near the end of the other. It's not so far off in format, but it doesn't go exactly right. Like if I drop it right there, the edge is working, but the bottom one isn't. If I'm at the bottom one, then I have too much, that's fine. Go all the way to the bottom red line and let go. If it didn't go well, go ahead and Command Z and try again. I'm noticing, by the way, that it looks like I don't have my snap. Anyway, never mind. Just looking for something. And then try again until you get it somewhat correctly dropped in there. Okay. Command Z, Control Z to pick it up again, and then drop it again until it's about yay. And what I mean by about yay is that it's almost to the edges of the red line, but because of the format, it's going to be a bit longer than that second red line. And if it's not, go ahead and undo and try again. And at some point, you'll kind of get it near enough the right spot. Okay. Now, I'm going to command minus a little bit so you can see this bit better because I was on the edge. Okay. And then again, bring it down. So I'm going to let it go somewhere about in the right spot. And then, let me zoom in. Then you can pick it up from anywhere except for this center point. If you're in this center point like that, don't touch that. Please don't touch that. But anywhere else, you can click and drag it around until it actually snaps just right in case you didn't get it just right. Now, if you had made it, and let me just show you again, if you made it too small and you left it kind of there, right? The solution is not to grab the corners and stretch it because that does not stretch your image. See, I just stretched the box, it doesn't stretch the image. Again, stuff that we'll talk about on Wednesday. So ideally, you will Command Z and start again. Now, if instead of Command Z and you forget and you delete, then you have to go place it again. So we're going to have to go File and Place to pick it up again. If you perchance deleted it instead of saying Command Z. And then you have it in your fingers again, and then you can go back to drop it. Okay. I'm having an issue with how it's drawing. Not seeing. I am having an issue with this image and that my bleed keeps disappearing. It's driving me crazy. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, all right. So once we drop it, as best as we can to the right-ish spot, so to say. I have to, sorry guys, I need to change. Normally by now, since I'm usually done, I have all these alarms like, okay, now you're done teaching. You have to do this and this and this and this. And it's like, I've got all these sounds going on and it's my reminders, which I will move. We won't have them there by Wednesday. All right. So this image, if I now look at it, it has lines everywhere and it's like, what's wrong? Well, that's the margin that we had asked for, or the computer set gave me automatically a 1/2 inch margin. This line that's there, click away, is the, so now click your mouse so that you're not holding onto that anymore. Click back onto the selection and click somewhere out here, which is called the paste point. That second line over here is what measures my 4x6. It's the actual end of it. That's my bleed, and we'll get into more details about what the bleed is next week. But my bleed ends up there on this side, so that is the end of my actual image, which ends up outside of the bleed. So I have all these extra lines. If I just want to see what the postcard itself might look like, hit the W key. It's like, oh, okay. So that's what it's actually going to be, okay? Hit the W again, and then you have all of these lines that we're going to learn to work with and deal with, but for now seem to interrupt the view of what it's going to be. But if you put your mouse right onto that line and then you hit the W, you'll see that that's what I'm pointing to is the end of what I'm going to see when I print this image. Okay? So that's what I'm going to receive when I get it back from the printers. All right? Not when I print it in my own computer. If I print my computer, I'm going to see it to there and I'm going to have to cut that off. But that's the official ending. This is the 4x6 size of this document. Okay. So let's hit W again, and with all of that stuff in mind, let's go and place our design, whichever star or shape or whatever we made. We're going to say File, Place, and God, what did I call it? First Illustrator Design. That's what I called it. I called it First Layout and First Illustrator. I purposely put them together with the word first. I forgot I did. First Illustrator Design. I'm going to say Open. And here it comes. Now, the size I made it in doesn't really matter. Whatever size I made it in doesn't matter as long as I click and drag. But if I just click again, it'll drop in to the size I made it. And remember, we made it an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And in my case, it was about, that sounds about right. If this is only 6, if this seems about right to my 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. But I'm going to Command Z because I didn't really want it to be that big, and I'm going to just maybe drag and drop it in there. Notice that I made it with all that white background, but it didn't come with that white background, okay? Even though over here it's showing itself to me with a white background. When I click and drag, it's got just the shape, the image itself. The white background, as we're going to later, is just for us to see the image, but it doesn't come attached to it. As opposed to a JPEG, which can only be square or rectangular of some sort. Illustrator the file will have whatever shape you made it, okay? So now that's our little whatever sunburst logo, shape, star, anything you guys made. It doesn't matter, it doesn't need to be pretty. Hit the W, and here it is. Now, I told you not to move things around from that circle that's in there. So if you're going to move this around, choose always the body of the shape, never that circle. We'll talk about what that is later. Move it around until you like where it is. It doesn't matter because whatever we designed wasn't meant to be particularly part of this image. And if you don't like the size, you can hit the delete, then you'd have to place it again. File, place, Command D. So anytime you delete, you have to replace it. If you already laid it down and you've moved things around, then you have to just go grab it again. Okay, so now I'm going to make it much tinier. Now, can we make it smaller and bigger already in the document? Yes, we can. For now, you have to bring it in again and click and drag. That's all we're going to know about that today. We're going to know a lot more. And now let's put in the last thing before we go, which is in a few seconds we need to go. Let's put in some text. So this we will do in Illustrator. Now, if I've created a fun logo with illustration that I did in Illustrator, that's one thing. But if it's just text like, I don't know, come visit my fields, or I think this is somewhere in France, Normandy. I don't even know this is one. What should we say? Wish you were here. Just a name. Autumn. Let's call this one Autumn, because I have nothing else in my mind at this time of day. If you have something better, let me know. Let's click on the T for type. Okay. And I'm gonna head over somewhere. I don't know, I'm gonna put it up in the sky again now. I'm gonna put it down here in the fields. I'm gonna click in there and discover that, for those of you who are accustomed to the other programs, nothing is working. What do you mean nothing is working? Because in InDesign, nothing can exist without a box to place it into. So this box that you're seeing there, those guys, that is holding my image. This box is holding that image. And thus, to put my text in, I need a box to hold my text. So I need to click and drag and create a box. Now, since we have this image here, you can't see it so well, so I'm going to do it out here. But when you create a box, when you create a box, why is it not showing me? Oh, because I had it in W. I'm sorry. I was in this W mode where you're not seeing the boxes. I was supposed to see the boxes when I was looking for it. Click and drag, and now you're going to see that box. Really? It's not showing me the box. InDesign is having a lot of issues right now. It's flipping around. Anyway, so this is the box that I wanted to show you guys. So click and drag. If you don't see it, don't worry. Click and drag in an area about where your text will be, and then you might see there a cursor. Just start writing. Let's write autumn. If you have a better idea, long ride home, sunset. I'm going to write autumn. Uppercase, autumn. And as you can see, a lighty teeny word, autumn is coming out. Autumn comes out in whatever the default setting for design is, which is usually Minion Pro 12 points. And that's all it's doing. We're going to click away and leave the type tool. Okay, we wrote the word autumn. We're done. We're not going to do anything else for now. We're going to go to the type tool and leave it by going back to our selection tool. Now, the selection tool in InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop has an easy way to go back to it, which is hitting the V key on your keyboard you click the V key on your keyboard, you will always end up in the selection tool. And now you can see better this box that's holding my word autumn that I was trying to show you that wasn't showing up before because it's such a busy background. And I can make it a little bit bigger or smaller, but since I want my autumn words to be bigger, I don't necessarily want to make it much smaller. And now I can go over here to the right side of my, and it's 2 minutes left, so I'm going to go way over here to the right side, and I'm going to make the font bigger. So I'm going to go to like 30 points or something like that and make it bigger. I was going to do some other stuff to make it more obvious, but since I can't right now, let's just do the quick thing, which is change its color. So let's just change its color. I'm going to head over. Let's not change its color. I think I don't have enough time. We're going to continue working with this because I want to put some other backgrounds in here. So let's live with the fact that this is the color we have. If you see it, it should say autumn. It's up there in the sky. You can see it better. How am I moving it? Again, with the move tool. Move tool, I can select and move everything. And if I hit the W, clearly I'm putting it way out of bounds. It doesn't matter. See this redrawing thing, something really weird is going on. I hope it doesn't continue. I'm going to ask them to check this computer. See that yellow stuff that appeared? That's a redrawing thing. It's got nothing to do with anything I designed. Okay. So here we have 3 elements, okay? An image, text, and an illustration or a logo that we brought in. Let's save this file. We're going to start talking about all of these things, how they work, why they work, how do I modify them, where do I bring them, how to make them look good, all of this, but we've created the basics of what it takes to create stuff, which is the combination of all 3 programs. Let's go ahead and do a screenshot of this little horror. And let's put it in Padlet. First, layout and in design, combining elements created in Photoshop. We didn't create it, but say that we had mucked it to make it look good. And Illustrator with type created in InDesign. It sounds so fabulous, but basically it's this little mishmash of things. Oh, that's not the right one. Didn't I make a screenshot? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So if you need the link to the Padlet again, here we go. I want to see everyone's little posts over here, and I like fall much better. Thank you. Well, autumn's a nice one too, but all right, cool. If it is 8:46, so I have extended myself past the time by a minute. If you need to go, please go. Eric, if you want to hang in for a second, because I want to teach you how to back out of VDI. And I want you guys to make sure you read that handout that I gave you in Padlet. And I'm not giving you any other homework between here and Wednesday. Just read the handouts. Or if you've read it already, go into deeper into all the handouts and read another one of those that I have there, okay? Be ready to go on Wednesday with all your applications up and running. And I'll see you on Wednesday. Eric, don't leave. If you have any questions, of course, I'm staying for questions, but otherwise, bye. Eric, want to share your screen so that I can help you back out of VDI
Yeah.
in a way that won't corrupt your files?
Let's see.
Okay. So first of all, you saved it already, right?
Yeah, it's saved.
So you can just go ahead and close this file. Hold on, I'm moving around, get my tools. Okay, so go over here to click on that X and close. Okay. And then on the PC, we close our programs going to this little X way over on the right side, which is different than it on the Mac. Okay, same with Bridge, bringing it back out of Bridge. Okay, now, first, see how here it has your username and whatever that I said it had to show up there. Okay, first thing we need to do is go to Google Drive. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna disconnect, go over here to this little gears. And let's just go to preferences. You could quit, but I think you're better off by disconnecting. Go to preferences
Okay.
and then say no thanks. Yeah. And then let's go back to the same thing. It's twice, yeah. And then here we're going to disconnect the account. I think it tends to work better.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can close that. Now, what's going to happen is this, that was the most important thing. When you leave VDI, always disconnect your Google account. When you come back in, it'll be ready to go. It'll say welcome, and you'll have to sign in again. If you do that each time, then your files will always be fine. If you forget to do that and you leave without disconnecting, when you come back in and you open them, they'll all look corrupted. They're not corrupted, but then you'll have to then sign out and sign in again. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Solution is always sign out, sign in. And sometimes when you're already open, it's not as clean to sign out and sign in. It's better to sign out now, close, and you come in, it'll be a clean start. Anyway, so leave this there, ready to greet you when you come back. Now,
Okay.
first we need to do is we need to turn off the school computer. Go to this little Windows icon. And there you can power it down. And say shut down.
Okay.
Wait, because then we still need to leave VDI. Now say close. Okay, and now this is VDI. You need to go to that little icon over there and choose the bottommost one, which is log out. There you go. Now you log out. Cool.
Cool.
So when you come in, you log in, and then you open up Student Desktop, and then you open Google. And when you come out, you leave Google, then you close the computer, and then you leave VDI. Okay, it's
Okay.
all right.
Okay. Cool. All right. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.